Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. You have stumbled upon the Gamer Social Club podcast. I am your host, Nathan Lockhart. I knew I was using last names this time, so how about that? AKA One Hot Dragon, and I am joined by the best casualty in gaming, Russell. How you doing, buddy?
You don't know my last name, do you?
I don't know your last name.
That's okay.
Isn't it Seagull? Like Steven Seagull?
No, it's
Oh.
Siggy.
Siggy, I thought.
Seagull? Wow, no, that was
Russell
an I.
Seagull?
That was an I, not an L.
Okay.
Anyway, anyway, what was the question? Oh, how am I? I'm fine. I am. It's Friday. I'm brain dead, but I don't have to go back to work till Wednesday. So.
Hey,
Yes.
That's awesome. And I am also joined by the best F-bomb dropping guy I know, Fraser. How are you, buddy?
Morning, Nathan. I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing much better. Much better.
And oh yes, you've had COVID, right?
It has been
Oh,
brutal.
Feeling better?
Shit.
It has been brutal. Yeah, I feel like $1 million
Good.
now
Good.
compared to even yesterday. Yesterday, I felt like pieces of my brain dropping away like a wet cake.
A wet cake. So that's what that feels like.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
I was sitting there trying to write like the review for Space Marine, and I'm just like, blah.
Oh man, that's so horrible. I
brutal,
hate that
but we got
so
there.
much.
And I'm feeling like $1 million.
Good. I'm so glad you're feeling better because we got Space Marine 2 to play tonight. And then also, and I'm just glad you could be here. I was like, damn, is Fraser going to miss it this week? And I am also joined by, in this podcast, Jeffrey. How the fuck are you, buddy? I missed you.
Word up. I'm glad to be back. I'm doing well. I have not felt like a soggy or a wet cake last week, so I'm happy about that, that's for sure. But happy to be back. Happy to talk about games and stuff happening in the industry, and I'm hoping that Casualties gets his graphics card at some point. While we're doing this.
It's going to be an
exciting day.
nice reveal when the postman knocks on the door and says he has a big package ready for you.
Oh yeah, that's Casualties waiting for that big package.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Gamer Social Club is a place that we come together just to talk video games, whatever's new in the gaming industry this week, and just to catch up with some friends catching up with each other. If you'd like to be a part of that conversation, join the Discord in the link below in the comments. And also, we are going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 today and the news with the PS5 Pro reveal later on. So if you want to just get straight to that conversation, I'm sure I will clip it out into a mini-sode, or
we're gonna see if it has a PS problem.
Exactly. Hey, let's see what you did there. And then we're gonna we'll talk about. I'll put the when we'll talk about that in the link below as well. So, but for now, we're just gonna catch up with each other because I've been dying to talk to you guys and hear about what you guys have been playing, what you've been doing, because I know we've all been playing Space Marine 2. Me and Jeff have been playing Astro Bot. Russell finally got to play Rugrats, so it's a big week for everybody. So let's start out with Russell because I want to hear about your Rugrats experience, and then I'm sure once we get on the Astro Bot train, it's just gonna take off from there. So tell me about your 2 hours in heaven.
Yeah, that that was disappointingly short. $25 for 2 hours.
That's what she said.
Yeah, it is actually. I haven't finished my review.
In that context, 25 for 2 hours would be pretty damn good.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. Where do you sign up for that?
Remember though, you get what you pay for in life.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that might be
I would
pretty.
know.
Yeah, that might be a pretty lousy 2 hours. But so I haven't finished the review because I've been letting I'm not the type of guy that's usually like, oh, I paid $60 for Skyrim when it launched, but I got 100 hours of enjoyment. But like with something like that, it's really hard not to be like, I paid $25 for that.
25 bucks.
And it was actually like 2.1 hours, so I couldn't even refund it on Steam.
Oh man.
Because it's got to be below 2 hours.
Is it replayable though? Is there any replayability to it? Or no?
There's 20 achievements. By the end of the game, I already had 14 of them.
Ooh.
Okay.
So no,
That's rough.
Not. I mean, I'm gonna 100% it. I went through the achievements I don't have, and they're gonna be easy. I could probably fire up the game and have it done by the end of this podcast. But
don't sound too enthusiastic about it, Russell.
I haven't. It's one of these things. I haven't decided on the game because I enjoyed my time with it, and it's an extremely competent 2D platformer. But fuck, I played the demo.
So the price is the main thing that's holding just like, you'd be like, if this was like $10, would it be an instant like, yeah, definitely try it?
Definitely. And then the other thing I got to consider, so it's actually free on Epic Games right now if y'all want to try it out. And maybe later you can tell me, because as Fraser knows, I play a lot of 2D platformers, a lot of really difficult 2D platformers. So maybe if someone out there that isn't playing things like Super Meat Boy and The End Is Nigh and Celeste and stuff in their free time, maybe to that person, like, you know, it might actually take 3 or 4 hours or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. I would say it's based off of Super Mario 2. You have your Tommy is basically Mario. Chucky is basically Luigi. Lil has the Princess Peach jump, and then the twin Phil is basically your Toad, in that he doesn't quite jump as far, but he's really fast and faster than the rest of them. So it's based around that, and as you play, you will see things in the game that remind you of Super Mario 2, just the way they work. It's a little difficult to explain.
Yep.
Without like really getting into it and completely spoiling my review. But yeah, I enjoyed it, but just like $25 for 2 hours, I couldn't.
That's a hard pill to swallow when there's no replayability.
And it's also, the other thing is, I don't know if I really want to spoil this or not. Well, my review's already up. Right before that, I got done playing with what so far is my game of the year, being Gory Cuddly Carnage. So maybe
isn't that like $30 or something like that? Isn't that pretty cheap?
I think it might not be on sale anymore. It had a launch sale of like $18. I think it's $25. But I think that took me like 12 hours or something. So,
yeah.
So I gotta. That's a pretty linear experience. It's not big. It's not open world. It's not anything like that. But it was just evidently what I needed to cleanse my palate and love video games. So yeah, I'm a little. The reason the review for Rugrats isn't up is I'm a little conflicted. Again, what do you do when you really enjoy a game, but you're like, dude, you couldn't. It's 6 levels basically. You couldn't have at least doubled that. It wouldn't have. It's a 2D side scroller. It wouldn't have taken a lot.
Well, I feel like that's when you do, like, it is necessary to talk about its price tag.
Yeah, and it's normally not a compare. Like I would never with Gory, I would never even think to be like, oh, it cost me around $20 and it was 12 hours or whatnot. So I would never even make that comparison. Really.
Yeah. Well, it's like I always say when it comes to like trying to figure out the value of a game, it's how many hours and how good was the quality per dollar that I got out of this. And even if you were to say it was a great, super awesome experience and it was $10, you're telling me it was an hour and a half, so that'd be like $4 an hour. Well, $2 an hour, right? So it's like, I don't know.
The only time I've ever like been critical of the time it took me to finish a game is like when I played something really bad, and it was literally like whenever I do that, when it's really bad, my first thought is, well, that's 3 hours of my life I'll never get back.
Right.
But that's like the only time I usually worry about that stuff.
I would try not to. I would just just rate the game and let the reader determine if the values would I would definitely mention the price.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, just keep in mind this is $25 or whatever. I really liked it. I'm gonna throw it. I'm just gonna say I think it's an 8 out of 10 platformer. Just keep in mind it's very short, and you can decide because people can't. I mean, it's the internet. People are gonna blame everything but themselves, but it's up to them to decide whether they want to spend $25 on something that is still good but short.
I would definitely say if you're a PC player, grab it on Epic while you can, because it's only free until I think next Thursday. And if you're a console player, because it's everywhere, I would wait for a sale.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you can't get it on Epic or refuse to play it on Epic because there are PC players like that, I prefer to buy things on Steam and GOG, but I'm not above, getting the free games on Epic. If you're one of those people that just will not deal with the Epic launcher for whatever reason, wait for a sale, go to CD Keys at whatever.
Yeah.
With the, you said there were different characters to select. A lot of these 2D platformers now are a local co-op only. Is that the case for this? Is there an online mode?
So there is a multiplayer option. I think it's just 2-player. I don't know if it's. Hold on, let me bring up the.
Yeah, the last couple of 2D side scroll or even 3D side scrollers that I've reviewed, they've had multiplayer, but it's only been local. And my wife loved me, but she's not going to play that with me. I'm gonna have to grab one of you guys or one of my other friends to play it with me, and it's just not an option.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know how difficult it is to make something online versus local, but you're missing out on so much.
The tags in Steam just say co-op, and local multiplayer. So I'm assuming it's just sitting in with the same people in the same room type of thing.
You got to have some real life friends, mate. That's rough.
Who has those these days?
Right?
Oh,
gross.
Yeah, I know.
I'm assuming, I don't know if it's on all the other platforms. I'm assuming it's on Epic. It's on Steam. I'm sitting here with the Steam listing in my face right now. There is a demo, so you can obviously play it.
Can you beat how long's the demo? Fucking 2 minutes.
The demo is the first level. That depends on how good you are. There also is. I've already written this part of the review. I'm making this well known. There's an HD mode and an 8-bit mode, where it will literally look like an NES game. And
that's cool.
I wanted to pre-order it, and I don't know why I didn't. And I have the Switch version pre-ordered, but Limited Run did the 8-bit version of the game. They're printing it on an NES cart and shipping it.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it
for
was
$250.
No, it's only $60.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Yeah, I know, but it's limited run, so.
Yeah, they are expensive. But,
You never know.
Is it? Do you have to go to a? Oh, sorry, Russell.
No. Go ahead.
Do you have to go to the menu to switch between the two, or is it on the
go? So you do, and for some, I thought maybe it was a bug or something. The game started for me on Steam in 8-bit mode, which I thought was a little strange. You would think that.
So you can't do it on the fly? That seems kind of.
No. You totally can. You can pause the game and flip through.
Oh, okay.
Also for those that may or may not be curious, as far as the characters go, you have your 4 characters. You pick your character at the start of a level. You can go to the pause menu and then cycle in a new character. Be aware that when a character dies, then you're down to 3, then you're down to 2, then you're down to 1, and then game over, and you start over. And there's an overworld, and you can select. That's another thing. You know what? That I'm gonna save for the review. Never mind.
Love it.
I have some critiques of not so much the level design, but the order stuff goes in. But yeah, it's a good game. It's just incredibly short. I'm not.
Sure, what to say about it yet?
Buyer beware.
If it was double the time, even just 4 hours, if it was 12 levels, I probably would have been fine with it.
Right. Well,
I was super stoked on launch day. I got home, I bought it, and I had it beat before I went to sleep that night. So.
yeah. Yeah, that is a bummer. I remember I felt that way about Callisto Protocol. Like, I was so pumped for that game, and I just had this fire under me. Like, I realized I had this passion to want to make like video essays over stuff when I was like, oh man, it would be really awesome to come up with a why you should buy Callisto Protocol and like talk about Dead Space and the whole history behind Dead Space and then going into Callisto Protocol. And then I'm just like, it was one of those things where it's like, damn, I just never got around to doing it. And then the game came out and I was all pumped and I was just like, I hate this.
Oh, that's a shame.
Protocol.
Yeah, I do too.
Really?
It's actually, yeah, it's gonna be my like October game.
Really?
I'm probably
I've
gonna
decided.
replay it in October too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I played it twice back to back. I loved it.
I actually liked Callisto Protocol. I know some people complained about the controls. For those of us that have played the older Dead Space games, like the controls, if you play the remake, they're different. But if you played the old Dead Space games, like the controls are basically the same, which makes sense because it was done by the founder of the game or whatever. So.
And they patched the controls like a couple months after release, so I actually played it after the after that patch. So I never had like they sped up the reloading, they made some adjustments to the timing of a lot of stuff in the control, especially the combat. So I played after they fixed a lot of the stuff that people complained about. So a lot of the time I was like, what are people talking about? Like, this seems fine, feels fine. It's like, kind of feels like a punch out sort of when you're in combat, which I like. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Dodging and hitting. I liked it.
I did too. I really liked it.
Sorry,
Nathan.
Oh no, you're fine. See, my
you're wrong.
You're wrong.
It's 3 against 1, so shut the fuck up. No.
Fuck you, Nathan.
My thing about it is like I even like listened to an interview with the director about it, and he was like, we were really trying to go for tense, like building up that. Trying to make the player feel very tense throughout their whole entire experience, and that's why we went so heavy into the melee combat. And then to kind of have my experience with Callisto Protocol followed up by playing the Dead Space remake, I was like, this was far more tense for me. Because Dead Space 1 back in the day was like the scariest shit I've ever played in my life. I played it for like 4 hours, had to take a break. For the first time ever in my life, I had to take a break and be like, whew, I'm like stressed out right now. So I had to like come back to the game. And then to revisit Dead Space, I'm like, man, you don't, like the atmosphere in this game alone creates that tensity that I feel like he was going for in Callisto Protocol. And like, I also feel that same tensity when in Resident Evil 2 when I'm running away from, is it Nemesis? Is that his name?
No, Nemesis,
Mr. X.
Yeah, you're
Mr.
talking
X,
about
Mr. X. Okay, yeah. Like that same tensity of like you're in a closed space. There's all these walkways where when will you hit a dead end that you can't go by, and he's gonna have you cornered. Like that same kind of tensity. I never really felt that when I played Callisto Protocol, and the thing
I
that
don't really have that either.
The thing that really killed my vibe with that game was the silent mission. You're supposed to be quiet and my gosh. And like there was that one moment where you're climbing up the ladder and I kid you not, you freaking touch an enemy and he's just like, huh? Like nothing. And I was like playing it on the hardest difficulty too for like the trophies. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know why I'm even doing this, because like these guys are straight up looking at me, or I'm right beside them, walking beside them, and they're not catching me or noticing me. So it like really completely unimmersed me from the game, and it just felt like a drag after that. And
it's
then when
like there was too much action for it to be tense, right?
Yeah.
Like for it to be tense, there needs to be times where there's no action, and you need to be walking and be like, there hasn't been action for almost too long. Like what? It's got to be coming at some point. And then But then when it's just action, it kind of removes it from that, and just now it's just an action game.
Yeah.
And if they were going for the immersion kind of scary thing, like they kind of missed it, yes. But for what I got from it as just a great gory action game, it was brilliant.
Well, you know, it's
Beautiful
crazy
graphics
because like
too. Beautiful
you
graphics.
guys aren't the first group of people I've talked to who disagree with me. Like most everybody I've talked to has really enjoyed their time in that
Some
game.
people didn't smoke all the crack in their neighborhood, and the other people like Callisto Protocol. So
Yeah, because like I think
What are you trying to say about me?
I will say, as far as Callisto Protocol goes, I don't think, like, I thought it was cool that they were kind of going head to head with Dead Space. You know, they were coming
Right.
out in the same 45 days. That didn't do Callisto Protocol.
No,
any
didn't
favors
no
at all.
favors.
So I don't count remakes with my game of the year, but if I did, that year would have been a duke out between Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space.
Dead Space.
Really?
And while I'm a bigger fan of Resident Evil, I think Dead Space would have taken it that year for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
That's saying a lot because there was a
large,
lot of Game of the Years that year.
Yeah, and the original Resident Evil 4 was my favorite for the longest time until I played 7. But the Resident Evil Biohazard, or the Biohazard Resident Evil, depending on whether you're in Japan or not. But that naming scheme, like, anyway, we can get into that in a different day. But yeah, the Callisto Protocol didn't. Maybe if it had been released a few months beforehand. Although the guy that the guy that created Dead Space had said that they kind of rushed the game. So maybe if they'd given him 6 more months and they'd gotten past Dead Space remake, I don't know.
Yeah, they had to start getting money.
Yeah.
The publisher.
I feel
what a shame.
Feel so bad.
Yeah,
I've been here yelling
It was
around.
still good.
Apparently
I
my
still
kids
liked
were
it.
in
No,
bed.
yeah.
So not to change the subject, but I want to get the train on the track back on the tracks here. Jeff, Astro Bot.
Yay.
I want you to tell me all about your experience so far, because I am only on World 2. And let me tell you, I saw your post on X the other day where you were like playing both of these games, Space Marine 2 and Astro Bot at the same. I could not relate more.
Yeah, 2 tonally different games that you could possibly have released in the same week. It's Astro Bot, man.
Let's go.
I wasn't gonna get it. I wasn't gonna get it at all. I'm not a big fan of platformers. I haven't been for the past, I don't know, maybe like 8 years or so. I get some of the big ones, and then I just like don't beat them. They can't hold my attention. I think I played 3 levels of Mario Wonder. That's side-scrolling though. That's not 3D. And then I put it away. This game though has my attention, man. It is just, I got it after a few levels. I was like, I get what the hype is about. This game is just, it bleeds fun and dopamine directly into your body with everything you do in it. Like the sounds, the feeling of the controller with the haptics, the visuals, the level design, the multitude of different things you get per level. You're not doing the same thing twice for, I don't know, a very long time. I think I'm in World 3. That's where I am. So I'm just a little bit past where you are. You said you're on World 2?
Yeah, I'm just on World 2. I haven't even
2?
finished the second world. Or Galaxy
Gotcha,
2,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, dude, the theme level for World 2. Oh, it's so good. Oh, so good. The which? I don't want to spoil anything because
because there's like, I understand what, like, I've never listen, when people get really upset, especially like with Elden Ring, people will get very upset over like, oh, spoilers for the area that you visit. I've never felt strongly about stuff like that. Like, oh, if you show me a screenshot of an area, whatever. Like, it's the story beats that I care about. Astro Bot's like the first time that I felt like, oh yeah, don't tell me about the levels. I don't want to know, because like because time you hop in,
the game.
Yeah, it is the game, and you hop in and you're just like, it just hit with I don't know. I feel like the best word to describe it is wonder. Like, it should have been Astro Bot Wonder, you know?
I mean, they've copied a lot of stuff of Mario. They might as well have taken the name, too.
Right,
But
right.
It is very Mario Odyssey. There's a lot of similarities in a good way. Like I liked Odyssey. I did finish Odyssey, but this. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, me and you are on the same page. Like as far as our experiences with games like this, they don't catch my attention either. I don't really much care for them. Let alone will I sit there and come home from work and say, "This is how I want to spend my time." I know that sounds horrible, but I mean, it's just not my type of. It's not my cup of tea, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And it's not that it's bad. It's just I would rather be, you know, using a chainsaw sword, right? But
tastes change and taste. Like I didn't like turn-based games at all until like Baldur's Gate 3, really, or Divinity: Original Sin 2. Now I'm kind of getting into that, and now this is the first platformer I love. Like I would never say that. I fall out of first-person shooters quite a bit. Like I used to play a lot of first-person shooters, and now I don't. Like I don't. Call of Duty's coming out, and I honestly couldn't really care less, to be honest. It's will I play it? Yeah, it's on Game Pass, so I'll definitely play it. But I haven't bought a Call of Duty in years.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I've bought a Call of Duty since, I guess Modern Warfare. How many has there been between Modern Warfare and Black Ops 3 or 6? Like 4?
3, Cold War.
Yeah.
So I guess
4.
3?
Yeah, so it's been about 4 years. Yeah. And this game's gotten me to care about something I've never cared about, and that's collectibles. I never care about collectibles in games, and I want to get all the bots, and especially the ones that are based off of a character, or some type of like PlayStation lore, or they have so many characters from IP that you wouldn't even think that they could get the IP from. And two, some you even forgot about. You're like, what the? Like, oh shit, I forgot about that. There's so much in here. Just everything makes you smile. Every little thing you do is like, oh shit, yeah, this is awesome.
It really.
That's what gaming's about, right? It's about excitement, and I think we forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We forget that we're supposed to be having fun.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to hear that you guys are loving it. I love that so much. It's so cool.
I mean, I think I even tweeted out the other day. I'm like, I haven't felt this way about a video game since the first time I picked up a controller and played Mario 64. It's that thing of just like, oh my gosh, like this is why I love video games. It's just such a cool experience. Because it just takes okay, you know how last week we started a new segment called Nathan Shows His Bits?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show.
I'm waiting for it. I need to see the next.
This week I'm gonna show you my bits. All right. So I know Jeff, he's seen this, right? He knows what this is. But for Russell and Fraser, you might not know. But this is called a DualSense.
All of Nathan's bits.
This is called a DualSense controller. All right. So this thing has this thing called haptic feedback. All right.
You wouldn't think so with some of the games.
Right. Well,
what does haptic feedback do?
So haptic feedback, it's it's got all these different I don't know, Jeff could probably explain it better than I could.
Motors and kind of like doohickeys and thingamajigs inside of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's a scientific term. Yep, exactly.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So Astro Bot really makes the most out of having a DualSense. You've got 50% of the noises coming from your fucking controller. Throughout the whole entire game. Astro Bot's constantly making noises through it. And I will spoil one tiny little thing. Have you ever blown your controller? No?
Sometimes.
No? Sometimes? Okay. Let me tell you something. I blew bubbles. In a video game this week, all right? I had to go... It was great.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was like...
so cool.
Yeah, I walked up to this thing, and you gotta blow bubbles through this thing, and then you gotta jump onto the bubble, and you start floating into the air, and you gotta grab on... Man, guys, this game is magical. It is the first game I've played in a while that I'm like, this is a console seller. Since we've started this generation.
It is in theory, it's not working out that way in terms of... I don't think it's selling that well at all, early reports.
No, it's not. That's what's upsetting.
Okay.
It's I would definitely...
I've got a question.
Go for it.
With the controller making noises, Does that still work if you have headphones on?
No.
No?
Okay.
No.
And the next question, does the Astro Bot controller do anything with the game?
No.
Like, does he make... Oh,
Nah. But
No.
I will
Missed
say,
opportunity.
I will
Missed
say,
missed opportunity.
I will say though that playing the game makes me really regret not buying the controller because I'm like, oh well,
Yep.
this is like a collector's item
I should have brought the
and a
controller
controller mixed in one.
me.
It's very
I've been looking for the Concord controller, to be honest.
Oh, have you?
That might be a collector's item.
Yeah, I've been looking for one.
Yeah, it's a nice looking controller, the Astro Bot one. It's cool. I do wish the blue parts though were kind of like the rubberized grips that Xbox does with their kind of special limited edition controllers. They feel like more premium, if that makes sense. If you guys have used like the 20th anniversary controller or anything like that, or yeah, exactly, something like that, and they just feel better. Where this literally just feels, it's the same kind of like gloss of the regular DualSense with just a different kind of color scheme and a couple like indentations and stuff. It's cool looking. It is nice, and the haptics are awesome, and not enough games use them. On a base level, like Fraser, the haptics just feel like any other rumble in any other game, but some games will do cool stuff because the haptics feels like the motors are all throughout the controller and not just behind like the grips, kind of.
The little tip bits,
Yeah, so you really feel, especially in this, like when he's walking, you feel like every little step that's kind of lower on the controller when it's like there's a rain part, whatever, and you feel like kind of like droplets kind of on it. It's cool stuff like that that not enough developers do, and I can see why. Like it is take more work, more programming, and of course, a first party's gonna take advantage of it. It is pretty cool.
Well,
I like it.
I will say that I mostly turn off the rumble in most games now anyway, which is a shame, because it is cool. But when, like, we'll just say Call of Duty, for instance, every time you pull the trigger, it shakes. Like, that's fucking annoying.
Oh, you would hate the
just
fucking haptic stuff then, like especially
just
the trigger.
shaking all over the fucking. But then something like Astro Bot, when it's special, like that is cool. Like I would definitely, I'd love to experience that at some point, and I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will.
Well,
yeah, eventually you could. Did you play any? Have you played any shooters on it, Nathan? Like any like first-person shooters or that use the haptics? Because that drove me nuts. I thought I was gonna break my DualSense the first time I played Ratchet and Clank, because they also have pressurized triggers that can get stronger or weaker depending on the game. And some of the weapons used in Ratchet and Clank, you really have to pull on that trigger, and I just felt like it was gonna break. And I was like, I don't like this. This is not cool. Yeah, and I could see that being a pain in something like Call of Duty or something like that, where they use that. So, yeah,
true.
I can see it going both ways. People hate it, people love it. I honestly don't play too many shooters, I guess, on there. Or the ones that I've played, I haven't really had much of it. It's just kind of like, Helldivers used it, but it was more of like a kind of like a vibration, like each bullet you'd feel, like every bullet leaving would be kind of cool, but it didn't put pressure much on the trigger, which I liked.
Yeah. Well,
it felt weird. Mold. I don't like that new shit.
New bad, old good.
Give me that black and white goodness, right?
Exactly.
Color, fuck that.
This is actually
give me a light gun.
This is actually a perfect segue into Space Marine 2. So I've been trying to keep up with all the chat, but the last that I had caught up with was that you were trying to swap out your copy of Space Marine 2 from PlayStation to Xbox. Did you ever successfully do that?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened was I wasn't, again, another game I wasn't going to get, and the hype got, like, you guys were talking about it in the Discord. I had people in our chat talking about it, and everything on Twitter. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, I guess I'll do it. And I wanted to get that gold edition because Steelbook, and I love the Steelbooks. And like you, I was just kind of like checking every once in a while, sold out everywhere. And then I went on there. I'm like, oh, it's in stock for PlayStation. I'm like, all right, I'll get it on PlayStation. No big deal. And then it wasn't delivered on the Thursday or the Friday. So I contacted them like, hey, this thing I paid for, like, more money is early access, and it's not that early access. If I don't get it like today, is it going to be shipped soon? And they're like, well, it's hasn't shipped yet, but it has had a tracking, or it has been register with Purelator or whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just cancel it because it's not gonna. I'm like, is it gonna get here on the weekend? No, probably not. Like Monday or Tuesday. I'm like, well, I'm gonna cancel it. And they're like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, why? Because it's already in the system. I'm like, oh my god. So I caved on the Monday and just got it digitally for Xbox. Because what happened is a Digital Foundry video came out, and it was one of the rare times where they really kind of said it's a clear advantage on Series X over PlayStation 5. So I was like, okay, well,
Damn.
figures. The time might go the opposite way. That's what happens.
Yep.
So I decided to get it digitally, and then I just had the gold edition delivered yesterday. So I got to take that back.
How gorgeous
on
is
the
that
weekend.
steel case?
I haven't even opened it, dude, because I'm afraid if I open it, like here, I'm gonna be like, fuck, I just want to keep this, and I'm not. I don't want to spend like that'll be like $200 on a game that I wasn't gonna get in the first place. So I'm not even opening the Purelator package until I'm basically like right about to take it back.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw this out there and say,
God.
I would have paid $200 for this game.
Love that. I love that.
Yeah, you're a huge. Are you a big Warhammer fan though?
I am.
Okay.
I am. But there's just something about this, dude. There's just something about it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I've played the first two missions. Well, I don't know if it's a full second mission, but I played quite a bit into the second mission, and then I decided I'm going to finish Outlaws first because the control scheme on Space Marine's fine, except for putting dodge on A, which is ridiculous.
It's so weird.
It's so weird, and I kept hitting B, and I just kept getting mauled. I'm like, hey, I need to get the other game out of my muscle memory so I can, play this. So, but what I play, dude, I really, really, really like it. It's really good. It's so good looking. It plays so well.
Did you finish Outlaws to be able to dive into it this weekend?
No. Well, I'm gonna finish Outlaws probably, depending on what time we're done here, either tonight or tomorrow morning. I'll probably be done. I'm at the very end of Outlaws.
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to the last couple of episodes of Indus, and I feel like I made a mistake skipping Outlaws. Like, just from what you've been saying, like, sure, it's not gonna be game of the year, but it's still like brilliant.
I like it, man. Sorry, go ahead. Kind of like.
Oh yeah. Sorry, you carry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say like, the first couple shows when we were first playing it, it was like we were shitting on the game. I think it was only because most of like what we expected from it, especially from the Star Wars license recently, that's not movies or shows. And it is weak, like in terms of like some things it does with the onboarding to get new players in there. It does not do a good job. It has way too many instant fail missions at the beginning, and that really gets people to be like, I don't want to play this. And I think that hurts it. And I think they should have started you with a couple of abilities you don't get till later in the game that help with the stealth and give you more options. But once you start playing it, once you get in the rhythm of it, once you start opening up some of those things, it was a blast. I ended up really, really liking it. Like the Star Wars license, I think, does do a lot of the heavy lifting for people to really enjoy it. Yeah, I think if it wasn't Star Wars, I don't think I would want it to finish it. But put your mind in like being like a scoundrel or something like Han Solo and this character like KVS, and it was great, and it gets so good towards the end, and I think you'll like it, dude. Like, I think any Star Wars fan will like it if you can really. And this is so cliche to say you got to play the first like 5-6 hours, and in this probably it's more like 8 hours. And don't just do the main missions. Like, you got to do some of the side stuff, or else you're gonna miss a lot of cool shit. But I ended up liking it.
As a general rule, I like Ubisoft games. There's just something about them that maybe it's the comfort thing of like I know what to expect with a Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
Like, and for whatever reason, like the end of this year's just been so stacked. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to make some sacrifices somewhere. And I was like, do you know what? There's a massive Ubisoft game coming out at the end of the year. Do I need two? I was also worried that maybe Star Wars was gonna be massive. And I was like, fuck, do I want to do two massive two massive Ubisoft games like in the space of a couple of months? I was like, I just can't do it. But
I will say it's not a traditional Ubisoft game in the traditional sense. It's not. Did you play Avatar?
no, I
think
didn't.
it's more like Avatar in the way it's structured. You're not going to like towers and opening towers and you're seeing a bunch of icons pop up. It's really it's Ubisoft in idea of like, yeah, there's a lot of side stuff, there's some collectibles, there's some all that kind of stuff it has, but it's not really structured like a traditional Ubisoft game, like not even like a Far Cry or anything like that. It's just so maybe there might be a little bit of a difference there, nuance between the two that you're like, okay. But I mean, it's probably going to be also like every Ubisoft game, they seem to drop in price pretty quickly and go on sale.
Except Avatar, for whatever reason.
Licensing probably. Maybe this won't drop either.
Yeah, whenever, because like, I do want to play it, but it's $150 in Australia, and when it goes on, sale, it's $110. I'm like, it's still too much.
Isn't it on Game Pass now?
Wait, Outlaws?
It might be on Ubisoft thing.
Oh,
it is on the Ubisoft
that's
Plus
how I'm
thing.
playing. Okay, that makes sense because I forgot that's how I'm playing Star Wars. I signed up for Ubisoft Plus.
It's a perfect way of doing it. I might
just
look
pay
into that.
$20 and you'll be able to hop into it
for a month or two, and then I can smash out Star Wars and Avatar.
There you go.
Good idea.
Boom.
There we go.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm
dry up
thinking
your
because
cake.
that's kind of
Wet
been
cake
my
brain.
that's kind of been my thought. Like whenever I do eventually try it, because I'm like, you know what? I think because I still haven't even played Mirage, so I'm like Mirage, that, and Prince of Persia are all three games that I might try to get into. Steelbook.
I can't see
it's
it.
gorgeous.
Oh, you can't see it. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
But
it is. I don't want to see that. Why did you do that to me?
You're
The thing
welcome.
is, I thought of like maybe even trying to resell it, like, because it's rare. You can't get the gold editions like anywhere. But I'm like, most people probably want it because of the early access. I don't know if they want just a steelbook.
Oh yeah, see, I haven't tried. I haven't
you know
tried looking since it came out. But yeah, I was having the worst time. I assume you checked Amazon, right? Because that's where I ended up getting.
Oh, I checked everywhere, and then randomly at Best Buy, they happened to have it in stock, and they didn't half an hour before I checked. So it was really weird.
You know, actually, I don't know why I said Amazon had it in stock, but it wasn't going to get here until like the 12th, or actually, it was supposed to get here on the 13th, which was no, it would have been here. It would have been here the 14th or 15th because it was a Saturday or Sunday of this week that it would have gotten here if I ordered it last week. And then I ended up ordering it through GameStop, and I ordered it on Thursday or Friday, and it got here on Monday. So that was even quicker, which surprised me. But see, I was in the same predicament as you. I'm like, shoot, I can't find it available anywhere. I found it on PlayStation. It plays better on Xbox. So at one point I was like, you know what? I might even get it on PC. Now that I've played the tutorial, I'm like, thank God I did not buy it on my PC, because my PC can't run.
Would have melted it.
Some games, and this is not one of those games it would have been able to run.
It's an intense. It looks really fucking good on
console.
It
looks so good, and there's so much happening on screen, and so but I'm glad I got it on PlayStation, because going back to this controller right here, like, oh man, Fraser, I couldn't, I was like, dude, I would love to see your reaction holding this controller and playing Space Marine, because whenever you go to sprint, you feel like the feet stomp, like the power of the feet stomping, like left, right. It's like I'm geeking out over just how I feel when I'm running, and then when you feel that chainsaw sword is like that rumble in your right trigger, fuck, I can't talk. The rumble in your right trigger as you swing that chainsaw sword. Oh, come on. I was geeking out, dude. I was like, man, I would love it if I could see Fraser's reaction to holding this controller and getting his hands on Space Marine, which was another reason why
he'll be missing out at about 20 frames a second. So
well, right.
What would you rather have?
I've only, to respond to your message from earlier, Fraser, sorry I haven't gotten to respond yet. I've only played the tutorial, and I don't even think I finished the first mission because I beat the first boss where you're like trapped in like a room and like this dude comes
Mhm.
in and yeah, okay, yep. I
Yep.
definitely went through the tutorials and I think I might have gotten through the first mission. So that's as far as I am into the game. Um,
Right.
yeah,
I've put about 40 hours into it.
I saw that. I saw that. This is the part where I pass it off to you, buddy. We're gonna put Fraser. Fraser, he reviewed this game for the website, so we're gonna put his link in the description below. I am ready for you to take us on a journey.
I I think it's very close to being my game of the year. It is
Feels like it's got
like,
the sauce.
yeah, it feels what it feels like is um how do I say this? It feels like a Gears of War. Like you're this big hulking dude fighting against everything. Everything the enemy can throw at you. You're just a team of guys, and we haven't had a Gears of War for so long that it's kind of it's filling that it's filling that gap for me. I I am a huge Warhammer nerd. I don't play the game, the actual like tabletop figures, but I just love all the
Mhm.
lore behind it. And these Saber have they must have a Warhammer nerd in their ranks because like all of the lore is pretty much damn spot on. They they could have
Pardon me.
there's a few little things they could have done which would have made it like even better. But we won't go there because it's so good anyway. The oh my camera's gone out of focus. I
Mhm.
just when you finish the second one, right? Sorry, the first one, and he's got those two rivets in his head. He's been in the service of the Emperor for 100 years, right? And then you finish the campaign, and he takes his helmet off. Sorry, not the campaign. They finish that tutorial,
Tutorial.
and he takes his helmet off, and he's got four studs, and you're like, holy shit! So it's 200 years old, and he is just a behemoth, just slaying. And then they put him through um the not experiment, like all of the medical stuff to upgrade him even more to an Astahi's bloody space marine. And they are like upgraded space marines. So like the normal space marines are rubbish compared to these guys. They go from 7 feet tall to 9 feet tall. And they just show the scale. Like when you're standing beside a guardsman and he's kind of
Oh,
coming up
it's
to
hilarious.
yeah, right. And
Dwarfs 'em.
they kind of showed it's really interesting because like the space marines they kind of hate humans. They see humans as like just like these pathetic things
The
that need
trash we
saving.
are.
Yeah, these
Fucking
pathetic
trash.
little things that oh fuck I got to save some more humans. Fucking hell, can't they
That
save
argue on Twitter all
themselves?
day and fucking
Yeah, right.
Could you imagine if
But they
Master Chief had that attitude?
oh it'd be so good. And like as you're playing through the story, you can see a more human side of Titus. Like his battle brothers are like, oh, these fucking guardsmen, they're useless. I can't believe they like lost this position to a few bugs. And Titus is like, the Tyranid's a pretty fucking hardcore dude. Give him a break. And it just shit like Space Marines don't have that emotion, but like Titus has gone through so much that he's kind of starting to get this kind of human side to him. Um, yeah, and just a story of redemption and stuff. It's fucking so good. But for me, the game doesn't start until you get to like the end game, the operation stuff. I've played so much with Steve. Me and Steve have played so much of the end game, and Dano jumped on for a few hours as well, and we were just slaying and it's just so much fun. Like three best buds just slaying the universe. It just I'm so excited to see like where they go with it because they you know there's so many more enemy units and factions to bring on board and they could make something like massive from this. Bring in the Orc boys from the first game. We got the fucking space wizards, the Eldar, the space elves, and then the Dark Eldar, which are like dark space elves. There's just so much cool lore that they can explore. Yeah.
So I got a question. I read your
Mm.
review. Again, description.
Yeah.
It's you can look at it for yourself in the description. You gave it an 8 out of 10. So
Yep.
what? That was kind of like my first thought. Again, I've only played the tutorial, and already I'm just like, man, I'm looking so hard to find the negatives, and so far I can't find nothing. It's like, I mean, the biggest thing that stuck out like a sore thumb so far, again, haven't barely played it. The biggest thing that stuck out to me is the character models. I'm like, the actual human face, like the armor looks phenomenal, but the character faces, I'm like, man, this is some Xbox 360 shit. But it's not that bad, but it is pretty bad.
Don't you love the diversity in the team though?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
One black guy, one Asian guy, one white guy. Bam.
Basically Gears of War.
Yeah, true.
I think. Sorry, I'm gonna interject you just before Fraser answers, but I think only after playing the first couple levels, the biggest turnoff I can see people having that wasn't a turnoff for me. And you said it looks like the character models like whatever 360 age. I think the game design is also straight out of the 360 era, and I think some people will be turned off by that. I think you have to like that.
I see that.
You have to like games like that, like Evil West, and like I'm trying to think of like another one off the top of my head, but it is very much go to A, kill shit, go to B, kill shit, go to C, kill shit, cutscene kind
like
of thing.
maybe a Plague's Tale Requiem. It's like a video game video game.
Yeah, I guess kind of. Yeah, with that the stealth shit, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
But it looks like it's like that era got a big budget and on current level tech is like what I would describe it to someone. And if you don't like that design, or you think it's kind of like archaic, I don't think they'll like it. But I have no idea if that's why Fraser would be like, that's why he's giving it an 8.
Well, it's funny because that's probably what makes me fall in love with it so much is that it does feel like a 360 current gen type game.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. It's a fucking old school hack and slash. That's what it is. It's a new gen, gorgeous hack and slash.
It's one of the best looking games I've played on console for sure.
Yeah, it's so it seems like it's gonna sound silly, but like there's not enough of it, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest things for me is, like Jeff said, there's not enough to do. It is just go to A, kill stuff. Go to B, kill stuff. The journey is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
The journey from A to B killing stuff is just so good. And the combat feels so great. And somehow they've made this super hulking soldier who is almost invincible. They've made him feel like that he can be killed if you are not paying attention.
Or if you're hitting B to dodge, that'll get you killed.
If you're hitting B to dodge, you're gonna die. Which, you know, as you see as they're walking through the wreckage and stuff, fucking Space Marines are dead everywhere. They're not invincible.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that like with that is that there's not enough to do. It's pretty much a hack and slash. You finish the story, you jump into operations. The operations are just continuations of the story, like they're like parallel missions.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear about during the story, you hear about a squad doing X, and in the operations, you are squad doing X.
Yeah.
Which is like it's so cool. But
it
again,
really is the anti-Astro Bot. Like Astro Bot, you're not doing the same thing in like any subsequent level, whereas this is like I've heard from a lot of people say, you play the game for 2 hours, 3 hours, you've done everything you're ever going to do in that game, gameplay wise, but it's done really, really well. So it's like if you can put up with that, fuck yeah. I love that kind of shit. I eat that shit up.
Yeah.
I can't wait to
There's-
I hope I can beat Outlaws tomorrow morning because I want to dive into this bitch.
Oh,
There's hardly any weapons, but that doesn't matter because the weapons feel so good that, and then also that's fucking heresy. Like Space Marines don't use any weapons that are not Space Marine weapons. Like they need to be blessed by the Omnisire. I'm not gonna pick up some fucking stupid lad scum. Fucking it's for the guardsman scum to use. Like, I got it. Like, so yeah, there's not very many weapons. There's not much kind of to do, but what it does do, does it so fucking well. And I hope that they start to pump out this end game content, not quickly, but quick enough to like kind of keep me entertained. So there's 6 operations. I've played through them maybe 30 times.
Holy fuck.
wow.
And the there's only so many times that I'm going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
The next season's
it would have been before 30. But...
Oh, dude, I'm having so much fun with it. I just can't. Like me and Steve, like you've played with Steve. He's a funny bugger, man.
Yeah.
So we're just having so much fun, just pretending to be Space Marines. Just
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So like season 1's coming out. We're getting 1 extra weapon and 1 extra operation. Like, I don't know. Do I have to play that 40 times?
Wait, that's going to be the first
Like-
drop? Is just one mission?
Yeah. 1 mission. But the missions are like 20 minutes long.
Yeah, I have noticed that they're long ass missions.
Yeah. The campaign's about 10 hours, 12 hours, something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, and then there's the PvP, which is weird. The PvP is fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's like it feels like I don't like the old school, but it feels old school.
Mhm.
Like it's fast, like it's slow. You're these big hulking things trunking around. Third person, just you see someone and you just fucking shoot each other till one of you dies. It's great. Like and it's not like Call of Duty where it's like instant kills everywhere. It's like you have to hammer them. You have to hammer them with bullets. So like I'm not a huge PvP guy. So I played it a bit, but it didn't grab me. But the PvP stuff's grabbed some people hard.
I have noticed that. I'm telling you, like when you're talking about like big Space Marine dude, I'm telling you, like I'm just in love with this controller this week. Like, I know I've already talked about it, but it's like, man, I haven't felt like God of War, and that was one of the things I was geeking out about whenever you throw his axe. I can't remember the name of his axe, but like whenever you toss his axe, Leviathan axe, and then it like you could hear it swoosh from the controller and then smack back into your hand, and I'm like, I feel that same way when I'm playing this game. Like every freaking shot that pops off, you feel that power and you feel powerful. And I think your description of how you feel the sense of you are killable. Yeah, you're this superhuman, unstoppable force, but you also feel stoppable because you're walking on a pile of dead corpses from Space Marines. You know, like, it's a perfect blend. And I think Gears of War, again, barely played it, but, you know, I think Gears of War is a good comparison so far. But yeah, you did a great job on the review.
There's no cover. You don't take cover. Cover's for guardsmen.
Right.
Like,
and then
you use your face as cover.
We are 1 hour in. Jeff, are you still good to hang out with us some more and talk PlayStation?
Yeah, I can hang out a little bit longer. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then Russell, how are you doing? You still good?
I'm sitting here like mad, hitting refresh on my phone like every 5 minutes to see.
When's it
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
get
fine.
here? Russell's waiting on his GPU to show
Russell's
up.
getting Space Marine with his
Yeah.
package
Yeah.
today. So
I'm getting Space Marine, and then there's another game that I didn't even know what the hell it was till I looked up on my phone. Unknown 9 Awakening. I didn't know what the
never
hell
even heard of it.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was until I looked it up today on my phone at work.
Rings a bell.
And it's actually not even out until fucking October, I guess. So.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get in.
Sorry, I want to say one more thing just
Go
to
for it.
make sure I cover this because Digital Foundry always take what they say with a grain of salt. Because I did play one of the missions co-op, and my buddy has it on PlayStation 5, and he didn't notice anything crazy. So keep that in mind. So even though they were like, yeah, there could be like a 20 frame difference here and there, if you can't notice that kind of shit, or maybe it doesn't happen as much as you would think it would happen, so don't let that. If you only have a PlayStation 5, I wouldn't be afraid to pick up Space Marine 5 or Space Marine 5, Space Marine 2 because of that.
I've only noticed it once, and it was when a lot was happening on screen. Like I said, I'm so glad I did not get it on PC because my PC would have just blew up. It's I can only imagine my PS5 was like heating up like crazy. But I'll tell you what, I'm willing to sacrifice the frame rate drops for how cool this haptic is. But I'm gonna shut the fuck up about it.
They need to fucking fix the servers though. Jesus Christ!
Oh my gosh,
having
I know
so many problems with the servers. Once I'm in a game, it's fine, but actually getting into the game, it's hit and miss. 50-50 for me. So I don't know if you guys have done much of like the co-op stuff, but you have to turn co-op on, you have to actually walk up to a console and interact with it and choose co-op. And then it brings up a whole, like it refreshes the game. And then you choose the mission, but it doesn't give you a choice to like choose to join a squad. You kind of pick the mission and then you're either the host and people join you, or you join another game. You can't choose to do either. And
you didn't do didn't ask you to do the password thing, because that's how me and my buddy did it. Like,
no, this is just random matchmaking. This is
okay,
not...
gotcha. Yeah, I've never tried. I didn't try that.
Yeah, because Steve and I were both on Xbox, so we just like.
Oh yeah, that would just have that makes sense.
Yeah, but when you're doing just random matchmaking, and if I'm the host, it loads the game and then it puts us back on the battle barge, and you can't do anything. You just stand there,
sit there and wait,
and you stand there forever until the other two leave, and you can't even hit pause to like quit. You have to like do a full shutdown of the game and reset it. It's 50-50 for me. So you know, I might spend fucking 10 minutes trying to get into a game. It's painful.
Yeah, they need to fix that. That's for sure.
I got it on Monday. I got the game on Monday, and I had 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, I'll go ahead and get through the tutorial. Spent the whole 20 minutes trying to connect to the server. Megan got home from school, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I can't play my game. And I was like, now I got to go to work.
Oh, you couldn't even play the single player?
No,
wow.
I couldn't even get into anything. And they even tell you that if you can't connect to the servers, your progress is going to be lost. Like, you're just going to have to restart. Even in the single player. So I'm just like, I can't do anything. And so I had just wasted my time trying to connect to the servers when I could have just played 20 minutes worth of Astro Bot. And then that's part of the reason why I've only gotten to play the tutorials this week, because I think...
Well, we'll play through some this afternoon.
Oh, we're going to do... Yes. Oh, hell yeah, we are. So let's get into this PlayStation discussion. I want to hear Russell and Jeff's opinions first, and then we'll move on to Fraser and then myself, because I've got a lot to say, and I know that I can get a little rambly when I start talking. So if you guys will need to pounce out of here whenever you guys finish saying your piece about it all, I understand. Now, I know Jeff already on his podcast talked about their reactions and stuff, and I purposefully have not listened to it yet because I wanted to hear it for like I wanted to respond to your
there'll be some overlap for
yeah
sure.
right yeah I wanted to be able to like hear it for the first time straight from you. But for the I honestly, you know what? If you're listening to this, I guarantee you've heard the news by now. But you know, just in case you haven't, PS5 Pro is announced. It is going to be $700. It is going to have 2 terabytes of SSD. It's supposed to have do you guys remember the exact percentage the GPU is supposed to be faster?
45% when it comes down to gameplay.
Yeah,
bandwidth, basically.
Yeah, and what's funny is and I saw somebody point this out today, the Xbox Series X is already like 35% faster than PS5. So technically it's only like 10 or 20% more than the Xbox Series X. And it's $200 more. But that's beside the point. So then you got that, and then what? Okay, it's supposed to have improved ray tracing. It's supposed to have improved frame rate, of course. Now, another fact about it that is worth mentioning before we start talking about our responses to it is the fact that the games have to be Pro enhanced. They have to be labeled Pro enhanced. There is only 60 games. Am I wrong about that, guys? Do you know? Like, I could be wrong.
I have no idea.
Okay,
what the confirmed number is.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere. Please correct me in the comment section if I am wrong. I'm not scared to admit when I'm wrong, but I think there's only 60 games that are confirmed to have Pro enhanced abilities, and that does not even include 60 frames per second. You are not guaranteed 60 frames per second. Which was kind of a big complaint from a lot of people whenever the presentation first dropped. It was like, okay, well, what is the exact expectations from this? Because you didn't exactly label, all right, when you see that Pro Enhanced label, like I remember whenever the Xbox One X was announced, they made it very clear, hey, you see this little icon, you know you got like the best experience. You see this little icon, you know you have it Xbox Anywhere. Like, they aren't really clarifying what does it mean when it's got that Pro enhanced on there. And as we found out throughout this week already, even the gameplay from Hogwarts Legacy that was shown was really just they were trying to demonstrate better ray tracing. It wasn't 60 frames per second. So
no,
even that, you don't know. Like, they're trying to sell you this console as it's a 60 frame per second 4K. You don't need to compromise, yada, yada, yada. But yet, it's like, it's not even
That's the funniest part, because like Mark Cerny literally said in that presentation, we want to eliminate the need for having to choose between fidelity and performance. And then he talked about how 75% of gamers play on performance mode, which I would love to see the statistics on how many of those people actually go into the options to change it to performance mode, or how many people just play on default, because a lot of games default is performance mode, especially before the last few games that came out. Almost all of them default were performance mode. So I'm sure a lot of those people aren't choosing to play on performance. I think a lot of people don't know. Like a lot of the broader market outside of people that know, like us here, people listening who listen to game podcasts would know. Because I'm almost positive a report came out by another developer like a few months back saying that the most just play on default. But Mark Cerny said they want to eliminate the need for that choice. And one of the only games they showed in that montage is still going to have that choice. So that's already confusing right off the gate. Like, okay, you want to eliminate this choice, but you're not eliminating the choice. It's what?
Yeah.
Go off, man. It's all you. I'm gonna pass it to you. I want to hear your responses to it.
Oh, I'll just say stuff and stuff like when I'm reminded about certain things. It's just when the Pro came out and the Xbox One X, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 already launched with underpowered consoles compared to PCs. They wanted to hit a certain price point. They did that. Microsoft more so, because they had $100 that went towards the Kinect that nobody wanted. And
Such a shame.
I know.
yeah,
Same.
and and how many years? I think it was like 5 or 6 years till the mid gens came out, and at least when they showed the Pro, they showed Miles Morales on the Pro. They did like a gameplay demo, and they were like, "This is like 4K with checkerboard rendering." Yeah, it's not native 4K, but there was a difference. Like you could see it. You're like, "Holy shit, that's clear!" Like that looks really good.
Yeah.
I didn't get any of that from this presentation. They had to zoom in to be like, "Hey, you see this person sitting in bleacher number 36? He looks a little bit clearer now. Isn't that awesome?" No, not $700 awesome. Like, does it look better? I guess, maybe. Am I going to notice it? By the way, $700 is $950 here in Canada, plus the disc drive, which is another $100 and something here in Canada. So it's over $1,000 for this thing here. Almost
So
1,200.
I've got you beat on that, my friend.
Oh, I'm not
in-
surprised. You're down there.
In
yeah.
Australia, it's not even. They haven't even done like a conversion of what $700 would be. It's flat out
Wow.
$1,200.
Oh.
And that's not
So they didn't
including
even
the
just
disc
do a-
drive or the stand.
Nothing.
Oh,
Just the base.
Just the console.
So to that point, Fraser, I'm curious. Just so us Americans can get a taste of your currency. So $1,200. What would minimum wage be in
We
your?
use dollary dues.
Yeah.
So it's $1,200 dollary dues.
What's minimum wage in your area?
Okay, so if you're working in a cafe, making coffee, running tables, you're earning maybe $25 an hour.
That's pretty good for a minimum wage.
Yeah.
But again,
That's true.
But then,
Yeah,
so minimum wage it's all about age in Australia. So,
Okay.
you know, a 15-year-old and a 20-year-old doing the same job are going to be earning different
Huh. Interesting.
at minimum wage.
Really?
The
Gotcha.
15-year-old can advance and get more and earn more, the same as the 20-year-old, but the base wage is the same.
Gotcha.
It's so, and then like to give you some kind of things, like our power bill comes every 3 months. Monique and I, we have it's the two of us and a cat, and all my gaming nonsense that uses up all the power. Our power bill is probably like $100 a month.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah,
That's
So-
nothing.
and yeah, it's nothing.
Wow.
My internet, I've got the fastest bullshit I can get. It comes included with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, included in my internet provider, and that's $100 a month as well.
That's it. I'm moving to Australia. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dude,
So,
you want to know
like,
what my
the
electric bill
wages
is
are
monthly? It's like freaking $250, and I live in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
That's a month.
No, the trade-off is you don't see it on camera, but he's got about 6 different poisonous spiders that are trying to take him down right now. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that.
Every single animal is trying to kill you,
yeah,
Oh, great.
and that's fine. You
it's
just
just
have
fact.
to.
Yeah.
Plus, from what I hear, importing things is a bitch. So,
Yeah.
which you
It used-
import pretty much everything. So
Yeah. It used to, like, I was talking to Nathan about it last week. Like, I've noticed things are not available anymore that used to be. Like, especially with the gaming stuff. Like, I used to be able to go down to my local game store and buy a special edition of a game day one without pre-ordering it. I could kind of just roll down. They would have a bunch, and you just buy one. Now, they don't even. I can't even buy them at my local game store.
They're
not
sold
available.
out before the game comes out. It's like if
Well,
you
no,
don't
they're
pre-order
just
one
not-
like a month ahead, it's like done.
They're just not even available to even pre-order. They
oh
just
wow,
don't.
not even a pre-order. Oh wow,
Not even a
Okay.
pre-order. The big games, yes, like Assassin's Creed's getting one. But and like weirdly enough, like Alone in the Dark got one. And so obviously I snapped that up. But like Space Marine, nah, not a sight. I can get the Steelbox edition, But then the other thing is that these websites, they don't ship to Australia either. So I can't even get them like
You got to get them from
online.
like a third party seller that probably jacks the prices up the ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
So yeah,
The-
unfortunately, I will not be buying a PlayStation 5 Pro.
well, I don't know about you, sir, but Mr. Jeff Keighley put out a bunch of tweets
oh,
that day.
Just a few.
And
Yep.
He's promoting that thing more than Sony is. Like
I don't understand.
yeah, he's the what?
I don't understand it. Did you see the? Did you see? Oh shoot, who's the one who does parody articles? Oh shoot.
Onion?
No, not well. I mean, yeah, Onion, but they do Hard Drive. Hard Drive. They did an article where they were like Jeff Keighley gets PlayStation 5 Pro boots, shoes, or something. So I don't know. It's funny. You got to go read it. Anyway, sorry. Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
He lists off all the Sony consoles that have been released, and then he added their costs due to inflation. And I did go over this in this, but I feel like this is something that people, and I've seen people, like even like journalists and some media people, be like, well, yeah, when you think about that, it's not that bad. I'm like, no, fuckers, like it's not the same thing. For one, he didn't take into account the disk drive, which isn't the part that really bothers me. What bothers me is that's if inflation was consistent from the first PlayStation to now, and the cost of living increasing with inflation was consistent, which it is not. Like groceries, gas, power, all that shit has gone up exponentially higher than inflation has, and wages haven't been going up the same thing as inflation. So you can't say, well, the PlayStation 3 technically would have been $900 if it came out today. I'm like, it was a totally different economy in 2006 or whenever the PlayStation 3 came out. You can't just be like, oh, well, and people saying things like, oh, the Neo Geo would have been like 1,500. I'm like, fuckers, the Neo Geo failed. It didn't sell. No one bought that. Want to know why? Because it was too damn expensive then. And the PlayStation 3, that's where they lost the biggest part of their market share, was when Microsoft released 360 at $100 cheaper and a year before. And they released it, what was it, 600, I think, at the time? One of you Americans would probably know, because I think here was different too.
The 40
like
gig I believe was 500, and the 80 gig I believe was 600.
Gotcha. So, and people didn't buy. They didn't see the value in that because it was too expensive. Like an entry level console was, people were like, no, like that $100 makes a difference, and that's why everyone's saying this thing is not going to do that well, and people don't want to spend that much money on a mid-gen refresh that's going to be obsolete in 2 years after it comes out, because that's probably when the new Xbox is going to come out, 2026, and the PlayStation 6 is probably come out in 2027. So does that sound worth it? Not to me. I mean, if people want to get it, fuck it, yeah, do what you want with your money, that's fine. But some of the reasoning I've seen of people to justify it, your only justification should be like, yeah, it's expensive, but it doesn't bother me. I have the money. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Don't spin it to be like it's not expensive, because it's fucking expensive no matter how you try to spin it.
And that's kind of been the thing that's been bothering me a lot with seeing some people's reactions. And it, again, like you said, people spend your money how you want to spend it. That's fine. What's been bothering me, and I don't know if you guys are like this, but like when I see somebody who makes a living off of Patreon, I start to take notice of that kind of stuff. Especially if I'm supporting that person. It's like, I'm not exactly super great financially speaking, right? I mean, I'm okay, but I mean, I'm not like super well off or anything. So for me, I keep close track of my subscription things. I've talked about it on this podcast before about like, how I manage my monthly subscriptions. So it's like, if I'm going to dedicate some of my monthly income to a person, it does bother me when I see that person talk about, oh, the PS5 Pro, that's nothing. I'm like, well, that's something to me, and I'm giving you my money. So I'm just like, what
Why am I giving you money for?
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, okay, well, I'll just take my money back because I clearly need it more than you do. So, not that I'm trying to be mean or anything. You go
True.
ahead and spend your money the way
Well,
you want, but it does bother. I can't imagine being on this podcast and being like, "Hey, everybody, come subscribe to our Patreon. We need financial support." Yada yada yada, and then turning right around and defending the PlayStation 5 Pro for, "Oh no, it's nothing. I'm going to get one for sure." And then to an audience that's saying, "Oh, I can't afford that." Yeah, no.
Your fault for being poor.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
weird. It's weird to me.
Or they get it for free, and they know they're getting it for free, so it's easier for them to be like, well, you could say, well, it's not that much considering like what you get in the box. I'm like, you can't. It's kind of like what Russell said. There's a correlation, like when Russell's talking about platformers and like being good at a platformer or being good at any game. Like somebody who's really good at a platformer or really good at like a Soulsborne game, they might look at it and be like, oh, well, Liza P was easy. I'm like, no, it's not. It's might be easier for you because you're used to it. You're used to those games. You know how they work and you're just good at them. So it feels easier to you. But for the average person, they're going to go in there and get their fucking cheeks clapped by like Liza P.
Yep.
And that's why people who get shit for free or just have the money, even if they're not filthy rich, but they just have that disposable income, they can't correlate or like have empathy with people who don't, even because they just can't wrap their head around that because that's not what they're used to. And it's hard to say. Like Russell, it's hard to, like you said, I don't know how if Rugrats is a hard game or not. And that's, I think I give him respect for saying that, because some people be like, oh, Rugrats is really easy. I blew through it in 2 hours. But he's saying it could be hard for someone who doesn't really play platforms. I don't really know because I play all hard platformers. And that's Dave. This is kind of similar. Like they just don't have any empathy for those people because they're just not. They don't care because they can buy it. So to them, it's affordable.
Oh man, these people that get stuff for free, like obviously I'd want to be one of them because it's cool getting shit for free. But like, for instance, I think last year it was Adidas and Korn did a collaboration. Finally, after 100 million years of Jonathan Davis
the shoes,
wearing
yeah.
wearing Adidas tracksuits, they sent them to people, right? Just sent them to like random influencers who don't give a fuck about them.
Yeah.
And then the people that do,
I couldn't
buy
get
them.
any. I couldn't get them.
I
tried.
also, yeah, same. I also wanted to get a pair of the 9 Inch Nails Doc Martens. Sold out.
Because they go out to influencers. Yeah.
Before I even knew that it was a thing, it came up on my thing like, oh, 9 Inch Nails, Doc Martens collaboration. I was like, cool, bye, gone.
Yep.
Like, fucking brutal. And now you see them and they're scalping online for like $1,000 for a pair of Doc Martens. I'm not paying that. Fuck you.
Yeah, and it's not even at some point. It's not even about an affordability thing. Like when you really want something, I do believe like if you have to make sacrifices if you can't if you don't just have the disposable income. Like, do I have an extra like $1,200 laying around to spend on something like a video game console that's a mid-gen refresh? No, I don't. But if I really wanted this thing, I could make it happen. Like we're gamers. We are probably the most drug addicts and gamers are probably the most creative when it comes to figuring out a way to have money for something. Yes.
Yeah.
And whether it's selling stuff you have or trading stuff in, or you will cut back instead of having like 3 cups of coffee a day, you will cut back to 2 or something. Like you will make it happen. But this is the first time I've been like, I'm not getting this, and I'm not. Like people joke about it that have known me for a long time. Like you're gonna have one by Christmas. I'm like, I'm not. I'm really not. I do not see the value in this at all. And I'm a tech dude for consoles, not PC, but for consoles. And nothing impressed me.
Yeah, I don't have a PlayStation 5 at all. I was when I heard about the Pro coming out, I was like, do you know what? This is the perfect time to kind of buy one.
Yeah.
We got some games coming out that like I want to play, like Astro Bot. We got a Silent Hill remake. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming out that I want to play. And I'm not spending that much money. I'm probably going to buy a secondhand PlayStation 5 core off Facebook. Because
Nathan, did you boot up Space Marine 2 and at once say, "Holy shit, this looks like dog shit on these consoles"?
No, I didn't. And that was the thing is, I even like you even said it's like, oh no, there's a noticeable difference. I'm just like, I'm good. Like I'm really enjoying this. And even when I was looking at the
that's just frame rate. Yeah, like it's like, and some of the games aren't even going to have the frame rate thing, and it's not. Like these consoles are just hitting their stride. Like they're just starting to hit the games that look really good and that are taking advantage of them. And like Wukong, like Space Marine 2. We just had another one that was like really like I was like, holy shit, this looks really good. Like games are really starting to take advantage of these things now. And they're gonna be like, well, now if you want that like little bit more processing power. I will give it this. It does have that the PSSR, which is like their FSSR answer. That's like the AI upscaling. That should take some load off of the CPU and GPU to allow for it to maybe put out a little bit more than what you can see on those old games, because they didn't show anything new. Every game they showed was old games. They showed Demon Souls on this thing, and that was a launch game. They showed Ratchet and Clank launch game. Like, what was the newest game they showed?
Was it Hogwarts?
Probably, and that's not even theirs. We don't know what they have. They have nothing. Like, they honestly, like, this isn't even like a thing to like console war about. We do not know what Sony's next game is. No. We don't even know if it's Wolverine.
Do we think that the Pro is going to see more exclusives go to PlayStation? Do we think developers are going to be like,
they will not fracture? They will not fracture that market. The Matt Piscatella, or Mike, I can't remember his first name, but he released some numbers saying that like 14% of all of PS4 sales last generation were PS4 Pro, and that's how many years ago? And I think that market of that hardcore enthusiasts that want the best console, I think a percentage of that already small percentage have transitioned to PC, so they're not going to get it. So I think that number, well, I was going to say I'm repeating myself, but I haven't said that on the show. I would be very surprised if the PS5 Pro sells more than 8% of the installed base of the PS5 in its life cycle. Because if the PS4 Pro did 14, I don't see, and it was more of a need of a console, and it was like cheaper by a significant margin, I cannot see the PS5 Pro being better. I think significantly worse.
Well, you bring up a good point about like how the PS5 has, well, okay, the Series S, right? Like now you've got all these consoles all the way down to Series S, something that can only handle 1440p or and then going all the way up to something that's 8K gaming. Not every game developer is going to be like, okay, let's, we're going to go all the way from the S is already a problem for people. You know what I mean? As far as game developers, or so we've heard. I'm using air quotes for audio listeners. So we've heard that the Series S is a problem. So it's like, okay, so now we're going to add to that problem by adding a Pro, which is on the other opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like all the way up there. So yeah, I think that does create a problem, and
a smaller installed base than Xbox is going to have. So they're even looking at it. Like, if any positive can come out of this for Xbox users, is that I'm hoping it has the effect, because right now things aren't optimized for Series X because the install base is on PlayStation. That's what they optimize first. That's the lowest common denominator, because more people have them. That's what they're going to aim for. They're not going to optimize for a more powerful system if it's going to take more effort. The ones that get Pro advance or enhancements, I'm hoping that the same devs be like, okay, well, we're already doing this for the PS5 Pro. We can get more of the Series X now. So I'm hoping for those Xbox users that have a Series X, that's going to raise the bar of the quality for what gets released on there, at least for the ones that would be the equivalent to Pro enhancements. Anyway, I don't think it's going to be like, I'm not saying they're going to be just as good as the Pro, PS5 Pro, people listening. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that it might be easier to optimize the games for the Series X hardware, as opposed to not even bothering, because you don't know how it's going to perform there versus the PS5. There's more incentive there to do it now, because you're already going to be doing it.
Yeah, the install base is a really good point to bring up too, because why are you going to, again, install base has already been an issue on the Xbox side. So it's like,
Yeah.
now we're doubling up on that. Are people really going to take advantage of that? And then also to comment on the other half of that, the PS5 Pro needing like there's only a graphics boost or frame rate boost to old game. Like there's like 8,000 titles or something. I'm like, that's already what the Series X has been doing.
Yeah,
with
it's
so
been
many
doing it
games.
since day one.
Our game of the month was Mad Max a month or two ago, and that was a game that was like boosted. It's from 2015 and it was frame rate boosted.
You wouldn't think so, would you?
I wouldn't. I didn't think it was from 2015. I was like, this game is gorgeous, and then I realized, okay, yeah, it's getting all those boosts and stuff from the Xbox. So, yeah, again, that's not really a selling point that's worthy of the price tag. I get that.
No.
You know, a PlayStation exclusive, like I only play on PlayStation, I can see, or maybe like, you know, like you said, we're very good at finding that money, trading in and finding the best way to get your money out of this, cutting back off of 2 cups of coffee. I'm already doing that with like Assassin's Creed, right? I was just explaining to Megan today, I'm going through all my old comics. I'm like ripping out a whole bunch of comics. I'm like, exactly. Whatever I don't need, I'm like, okay, this stuff is just taking up space. I'm not using it. I was like, I can justify the price tag of Assassin's Creed Collector's Edition if I can work up the money out of my ass, basically. But if I have to take $280 out of my pocket, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off. But yeah, so I'm that same way. Even when I was a kid, dude, like, I'll try to tell this really quickly because it would take us off the rails. But like, I was like, I think, I can't remember how old I was, but I was a good bit younger, and I didn't have a job or anything. And to pay for this Xbox 360 Elite bundle, it was like such a huge jump up from what I had. I only had like a 20 gigabyte 360, and I was like, the Elite performed better, it had a better hard drive, all that stuff. So like, I had like done so much wheeling and dealing. I'm a kid without a job. I'm selling shit on eBay. I'm like, you know, mom,
you're fucking like doing lawn, like mowing lawns or whatever.
Yep. I'm walking to the post office by myself to, you know, ship things out. I'm, you know, I even got my poor parents, let me tell you, the amount of times I like drug them out of bed. I'm like, hey guys, like we got to go get to Walmart. Black Friday sales. Like there was this one specific, it was like a week before Black Friday, they were having, it was like, okay, so in October, I got the arcade edition, right? I got the arcade edition for like $200, but it came with a free $100 gift card. Turned right around, sold the arcade edition, and took that gift card and just got an Elite for free, basically. So I went from just having nothing, and I just like wheeled and dealed and to the point
exactly.
where I
just
just
figure it out.
Yeah, I figured it out. I didn't spend $1, and I got the 360 Elite, and that came with 2 bonus games for free. And then I think I still ended up with a $20 gift card. I was like freaking 12. So you're absolutely right. Like we figured that shit out. What were you gonna say, Fraser?
Gonna say, remember the bundles we used to get?
Yeah.
That was, you'd get like an Xbox 360 and like 5 games. You're like, sweet.
Yes.
I'm set forever.
And that actually brings up a really good point, because I'm the one who wrote the article for when it like first dropped. I watched it live and then immediately got that article out there as quickly as I could. And I didn't catch it. I could have swore he said Astro Bot already No, it's Astro's Playroom. We had a reader correct us on it, where they were like, oh no, that's Astro's Playroom, not Astro Bot. And I'm like, you might as well have just said you get Fortnite for free. You get
Why?
Yeah, exactly.
If they included Astro Bot in it, already pre-installed, like that's a reason to buy it.
Exactly. And
People
bump those sales numbers up too.
But now bundles don't work like that. Now bundles are like, you're literally just paying for the game. They just bundle it in there. Like they used to get the games for free. Like they would come with it, whether you like, now they just add the price of that and maybe take $10 off. And add like those Spider-Man bundles for PS5 and the, what's it called for Series X when they came with, was it Starfield?
Starfield,
I can't remember.
Starfield,
And, like,
yeah.
like they don't give to you for free. Like the newer games, they still just tack that shit on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it was a new console, I would consider it. Like if it was the PlayStation 6, I'd be like, okay, because you're making an investment. You're hoping to get about 6 years out of that console. Like Russell just got a new fucking graphics card, and I don't know how much graphics.
We watched him
cost.
unbox.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was,
so-
Unboxing
yeah, I
live
missed that.
on.
Yeah. And like they're expensive, but he has that graphics card now. He doesn't have to worry about upgrading it for a while. Like this isn't the same thing as that. It's not even the same thing as getting a brand new console that's 45%. Fuck that. Like we want the ones where it's like this is like 4 or 5 times more powerful than the previous gen.
Yep.
Like that's what PlayStation 5 was to PlayStation 4, or Xbox Series X to the One. Like that makes sense. Like I hope to God they're not like they don't take this as being like if people buy this, we're gonna charge even more for the next one. I hope not. I'm hoping shit gets better with the economy and they can start making more money, or margins don't have to be as high as they are, because. Yeah, if this thing's 700, the PS6, like what's that going to be, 900 US when that thing comes out?
that is my biggest
The new
concern.
Xbox going to be 1,000?
Yeah,
Gross.
that's my
It's
biggest
scary.
concern. It is really.
They didn't
scary.
they're increasing the price of all their consoles. Like Microsoft's done it, Sony's done it.
Yep.
That doesn't happen. It's supposed to be going the other way. When you release a mid-gen refresh, the other consoles dropped in price.
Yep.
They're not doing
You
that.
don't raise the price and then release another one.
Exactly. That's not going to
Right.
grow your market. It's going to cannibalize only the hardcore people that you already have.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anything for us. It just makes us fucking envious and then make dumb decisions. But at least we can admit we make dumb decisions.
I mean, the fear
I
of
would be more
missing out
prone
is
to-
powerful.
Sorry?
I said the fear of missing out is very powerful for companies. We say all this stuff,
Very
but a year, like let's say Wolverine does drop next year, and they finally hold the PlayStation State of Play that we've all been waiting for. Ghost of Tsushima 2 comes out. Wolverine's coming out. And all of this is best played on the PS5 Pro. And this is what you're getting on the PS5 Pro compared to this shit PS5 standard. Like, the fear of missing out is real. And I would wonder
I bought Astro
if
Bot and
the...
Space Marine based on that just last week.
Right.
It's totally
Right.
real. It's
right.
And
So
I fall for it all. I am a FOMO. Like I make love to the FOMO, man.
right.
That thing just
Yeah.
yeah.
But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Fraser. What were you going to say about that?
I was just going to say, if the fact that they've like bumped the price up of the core PlayStation 5 just normal, and then releasing the Pro, if they hadn't have done that, I might have even gone and bought a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, oh, the new one's come out. All right, I'll do it. But then they've put the price up now, so why would I pay more for something that
So
a year ago
backwards.
I could have got for less?
Yeah.
I'm now, and I tell you, I will be buying the PlayStation 5 secondhand. There's no way I'm going to buy a new one.
Yeah. Mhm.
No way. And then
Just
they've
wait
lost
till around
another.
November.
Yeah, they've lost a sale there because PlayStation's already got the money from old mate who bought it first.
Yeah.
And now I'm buying his. Like, they're not getting anything from me, which kind of sucks because I'd love to be able to help, not help them, but
Oh, I don't want to help you. Microsoft and Sony. I don't.
Fuck
don't
them
need
right-
our
they don't
money.
need.
They don't need. They're not
no
doing us
way.
any favors. They're raising the price on everything. They're like, yeah.
Fucking assholes.
I mean, that's the thing
Games,
is,
smaller devs, sure.
we're all of us here we're the target audience, But we're gonna be voting with our wallets. But what? So Russell, what do you have to say? All this, you've been awfully quiet, you did.
So I have sat idly by listening to you guys. Obviously I come from a little bit different world. So I have
So big.
I was looking at that and looking at my PC with my 2080 Ti. I think even though this is a newer card, this is AMD's latest generation. I think that 2080 Ti NVIDIA is still bigger than that thing.
Really?
Just eyeing the thing, but anyway, that's not important. So I have specs pulled up, which I want to emphasize a couple things here. I believe it was Jeff who had mentioned that the 45% faster rendering or whatnot it does specifically say up to
Yeah, it's up to.
45%.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be getting that all of the time. I would wager most of the time. Maybe there's 1 or 2 games they were able to clock at that speed. 67% more compute units. That doesn't mean a lot unless you know how to do anything with them. The ray tracing. So this could go one of 2 different ways. We know that this either incorporates AMD's new ray tracing tech or it's at least based off of it. We don't really know what that means. I will take the piss out of people's steams here for a second. It's AMD tech, and I just bought an AMD graphics card because I don't really care about ray tracing. But
I don't know many people that do, to be honest.
To take the piss out of people's sales here for a minute, AMD has always been playing catch up with Nvidia. Always. Well, not always. Way back in the day, they were trading blows a little bit. But what's kind of been going on with Xbox and PlayStation, like that's been AMD and Nvidia with graphics cards, and that's been AMD for quite a few generations now. Particularly when it comes to features, when it comes to horsepower and price to performance. If you don't care about the bells and whistles, usually AMD graphics cards are the way to go. At least from the reading I've been doing. Obviously, I went with AMD this go around. But as far as their ray tracing tech goes, it could be really cool, and it could be a step up from Nvidia's DLSS 3. I would not put any money on that at all. It probably won't be. So if you're, I've seen some idiots, some fanboys online. I'm not going to mention any names. There's been a couple that were saying that it's going to be better than the 4090. Yeah, no,
no way.
No, it's not.
No.
And I've seen some people claim that the ray tracing tech is going to be better than DLSS 3. Well, maybe. But DLSS 3 is Nvidia's 40 series ray tracing tech. So when the new GPUs come out, which it's rumored that we should be hearing some things, I've heard a lot of things.
So DLSS is ray trace. I always thought that was tied to resolution.
So DLSS DLSS has DLSS 3 specifically is now, I think, if I remember right, maybe I'm making a mistake here, but I believe now it's tied to an AI upscaler, which has to do with ray tracing. For DLSS 1 and 2, that's mostly just resolution boost. Is the way I understand it. My card is a first gen. My 2080 Ti is a first gen DLSS card and first gen ray tracing card, I believe. So some of the awesome features that the 40 series cards have, mine, I am not a preview to that as far as being able to use them. But what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of people that are really hyped about this new ray tracing tech. It may be equal to Nvidia's stuff as far as the 40 series goes. Maybe not. I am a PC nerd, but I'm not quite Digital Foundry, so maybe go ask them about that.
No,
I'm saying all that to say don't get too excited about the ray tracing just yet, and the new features. I will give PlayStation credit. This is a new ray tracing tech, and in that way, usually console stuff is outdated by the time it comes out. This is the first time that any console manufacturer has gone out of their way to get something absolutely brand new to the world that no one else has. So props on them. I will give them props to that. As far as the AI upscaling and the PlayStation pisser tech, I've also seen some people that were really excited about that. And if you've got big 60-inch TVs at home, I'm sure you'll be able to see this stuff. Again, I'm coming from the PC world, but I play on a 32-inch 1440p 165 hertz screen. All pretty much except the ray tracing, all of the improvements for this thing do not mean a goddamn thing to me.
Yeah.
The 4K 60, I won't see it even if I had a 4K monitor. I've gotten pretty used to playing a lot of my games above 60 FPS. So I would probably, the first thing I would do if this was a PC is turn the ray tracing off and see what, well, you can do ray tracing at 60 frames a second. Let's see what you can do without it. Would be the first thing I would do. So
well, they showed Hogwarts to show off that ray tracing.
well,
And
yeah,
ironically, that's the one that Digital Foundry and everyone came out and said that was 30 frames a second.
yeah.
So
and I actually think it was that one and probably The Last of Us Part 2 were the ones that had the most noticeable differences to me. A different company's game that was running at 30 frames a second. So what are you really doing here since you spent the whole presentation bragging about 4K 60, and then you're apparently not giving it with that particular title. And props to them with The Last of Us Part 2. It did look pretty amazing, but I think that those two examples in particular are kind of what to expect, in that I'm sure first party games will possibly push this to the limit as far as they can, and third party games are going to be a very, very case by case basis. As far as what they choose to do and what they don't choose to do. To a point that Nathan made, he was comparing the Series S and the Pro. I don't think that comparison's really fair. Usually, devs target the lowest common denominator and then go from there, which has been the Series S, which is where all the complaints come from. Mostly, it's the Series S's memory restriction. Once in a while, you get a developer complaining about something that doesn't make any sense, but
it's
Well,
But
I just meant
kinda
that it's
changed,
an added thing you've got to what's the word for optimizing for?
Yeah.
Like it's just an
but-
extra
but
thing.
the
That's all
point-
I meant by that.
yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is if you're targeting, so if the Series S wasn't really, let's put a pin in that for a minute. Pretend for a second that devs are just targeting the Series X and the PS5, adding features that another platform, well, we'll call it another, it's not really another, we'll call it, for arguing's sake, we'll call it another platform because it is different than the PS5 standard base, whatever the hell you want to call it. Adding features that can take advantage of, and the other two not being able to take of, is going to be easier and lead to more consistency with those two things than having to target a lesser platform, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
No, it does. But I don't think this generation, the time that's always the lowest common denominator and scaled up, is when the lowest common denominator is also the lowest powerful platform. The PS2, like all the games in the PS2 era, were optimized for the PS2 first, scaled up to Xbox and GameCube. And same with like when it came down to the 360. Most of them were they targeted 360 first, were the lead SKU, and then they would port to PlayStation 3. I would be very surprised if any dev studio takes the Series S first and then ports up towards PS5 and Xbox Series X. I would bet money it's PlayStation 5 and then the other two.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way it's working, and I could be wrong, but if I remember at launch, I don't even think that Series S dev kits actually exist.
I have no idea.
I think it's just Series X.
Yeah, because they're technically.
Yeah, I read that, so because it's basically the same thing except the memory, which again devs are
and
basically
GPU.
Yeah, I think the GPUs are pretty much the same.
CPUs are the same. The GPUs are different.
Okay,
different,
it's been a while since I've looked it up, but I know the memory is in numbers terms not that different, but as far as like development and stuff goes,
speed and everything.
Yeah, makes a huge difference. But anyway, that kind of derailed everything. So to get to the sticker shock, the $700 price tag. So number one, get used to it. Because wasn't the PS5 or PS4 Pro, wasn't that $500 at launch?
Yeah, I think so. It's $499.
And then that's
Same
what
goes
they
for the
launched the
Xbox
new
One
consoles
X.
at.
Yeah.
just a wild shot in the dark. I would expect the PS6 to at least cost $700.
Yep.
So get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the disk drive goes, that's a stickler for me. I'm a retro gamer, as you guys know. I'm kind of a stickler for game preservation, and that kind of pisses me off because you have to have an internet connection to even add this disk drive on.
It's crazy.
Seems ridiculous.
Well, yeah, we mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, I took off and grabbed my fucking.
It-
Oh, yeah,
so
that's
I
right.
don't know
For,
what y'all may have.
for audio
mentioned or may
listeners,
have not.
y'all missed it. It was like the greatest unboxing reveal of all time. We're all just sitting here having this conversation. He's over there in the corner just like tearing into that box, jumps up off of his bed, and then he's like, Space Marine 2, don't give a shit. Whatever this game is, don't give a shit.
I didn't see
It
any
was
of that. I guess because I
beautiful.
only have the one screen on here. I can just it switches when you guys talk. So I didn't see any of that.
Those weren't games I was tossing. There's like stuff for like DoorDash and like a meal kit.
Oh.
I don't care. The games are tied to the graphics card. I think I have to download the drivers and then AMD's like overlay and stuff, and then through AMD's overlay, they used to just give you codes, and people bought the graphics cards and then sold the codes on CD keys.
Yeah.
So now they're actually tying. Now you have to download the software and go in and claim the game through their software.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was yeah. So the disk drive thing that is worrying from a game preservation standpoint, at least where I sit. I know a lot of people don't really give a shit about that anymore, and hey, more power to you. But what I will say is I think PlayStation deserves a little shot in the arm, because one of the supposed, I don't know if I want to call it selling points, but you know, they were obviously, you don't have the day one patch, but PlayStation's always like, the game is on the disc, you don't need an internet connection. You can plug in your PS5 not connected to the internet, put at least their first party games in, and they will work. Third party, most of the time, probably not, but at least with their first party games. So the whole like disk drive internet connection thing sort of flies in the face of all of that, and that kind of pisses me off. And then there's the section of the internet, and I see that the PC master dorks and the Sony ponies going back and forth. We're like, well, you can't build a PC for $700 like this. True, you cannot if you buy new. If you buy used, deals can happen, but we're sort of splitting hairs there anyway. The other thing is that people that game on PC don't just
play games on PC.
Play games. Like for instance, myself, obviously I write reviews on my PC, which you can't do because if I remember right, since at least the PlayStation 4 generation, you haven't even been able to open a web browser in a PlayStation console. So I'm gonna spend $700 on this fucking thing, and I can't even open a web browser.
Yep.
One of the things you can do with the Xbox Series S and X, a lot of people don't talk about, is you can actually go through their web browser, their Edge web browser, and sign into NVIDIA GeForce Now, and their cloud streaming tech is actually better than Sony's or Xbox's. It's also more expensive. I think it's $20 a month.
Yeah.
There is I think a free version, but it's tied to games you own on PC, and then the free version, I think you stream for like an hour or two, and then you get kicked out, basically.
Okay.
So that's a little thing, and I also have a pixel editor that the comparison. What I'm trying to say is the comparison between like a $700 PC and a $700 PlayStation.
That comparison shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, it's sort of asinine. We're talking about two different worlds there. We're talking about stuff that's literally designed and optimized to play games, and then a different platform that's just like not the same
and
at all.
Some people just don't want a game on PC, so that's not an option. It's not as easy as saying like, well, you can buy a PC for even like $1,500. That's great. If people want to do that, they can go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm a console enthusiast, so like that's what bugs me the most, because I always want the bleeding tech of this stuff, and so I'm kind of angry for two reasons: the price, and one, because I'm going to be like, well, fuck, like I know in my head and with my eyes, I don't see that much of a difference, but my mind and my lizard brain is going to be like, when I'm playing Wolverine, going to be like, well, I'm not playing the best version of this. With PC, it doesn't bother me because I really have no interest in playing PC. It has nothing against PC. Like, I know all the positives about it. It's just not for me. I tried, and my brain and PC don't work. I don't like dealing with a lot of the PC stuff. So that's what really bothers me about it. It's the console. I don't like the way that the consoles are going. This is setting a bad precedent.
As far as picture and resolution go, I have one or two more things to say about that. I have a feeling. So two things. This sucks. Sony didn't really have a choice. It is what it is. It is possible that YouTube compression was not doing the PS5 Pro any favors as far as image quality goes and watching it through YouTube. That is very possible. I'm not sure exactly what kind of role that plays in, but anyone that's streamed on YouTube like I have, or I had the wrestling podcast and dealt with that, or even you, Nathan, dealing with our podcast. YouTube compression can fuck with a lot of things. Doesn't always, but in this situation, when you're trying to show off resolution, I'm sure it didn't do it any favors. As far as all that extra detail and 4K go, I know that what was it? GT7 has an 8K mode, I guess. I don't know what kind of frame rates it's getting at. As far as that goes, like there's a reason that I think 8K TVs, I forget what dimensions they start in, but it's not very small, and it's because if you don't have a big enough display, you're not going to.
That's diminishing returns.
Yeah, and I have a funny feeling with this AI upscaling stuff, we might see a little. There's a reason that the Steam Deck only comes in an 800p screen, and no small PC handheld has a screen above 1080p. It's because if you put a 4K screen on one of those things, you would not notice a difference at all, and your battery life would be fucking abysmal. So this AI upscaling, we got to see it first, obviously, and YouTube's not a great way to see it, but I people that are getting really, really excited, I would hazard, wait and see. And as far as seeing new games goes, pre-orders start, what was it, the same day? The
26th.
same day. No, yeah, it's the same day as the Tokyo Game Show starts, I think.
Really?
So maybe we get some, maybe they try to convince us through that.
I don't think they'll need to sell I think they're going to sell out initially, just because I don't think they're going to make a lot of them.
No, totally.
They don't need to sell that.
I think it's going to be the same thing as the Portal. Well, not the same. There's going to be a lot more that sell than the Portal. But
I know what you mean.
My point with the Portal is everyone's saying they're selling great. Sony.
No, they're selling out.
Yeah, yes. Sony has done a great job of telling us how great everything is selling, and they stopped doing that with the Vita. And yes, I am bitter about the PlayStation Vita. Fuck
Everyone
off.
is.
They eventually stopped reporting the sales, and then they started lumping them in with the PSP. We haven't heard PSVR 2 sales in a while, and I am unaware of them announcing
I don't think we've ever had
any Portal sales at all.
No.
Well,
so that can be telling there.
Selling out doesn't mean selling well. They're two vastly different things.
If you don't mind if I chime in here, like the disk drive for PS5, it sold out, and everybody's referring to, sales are up 2,800%, like 2,800% from what?
One?
Yeah, exactly. Like from what? 1, 2? Like how many people were buying the disk drive to begin with?
Also, with the disk drive, you have to. The wild card there is scalpers.
Yes.
Yeah, there's that
how
too.
How many people are buying the disk drives, and then they've got their bots at the ready here in a couple weeks when it goes when the console goes up for pre-order.
Yep.
And then they're like, "Hey, I bought this for $700. I bought this for $80. You can have it for $1,200."
Yep.
I think the pandemic really screwed us as far as tech goes, because people got these stimulus checks and started paying astronomical amounts of money for tech because they were bored at home. And it showed both graphics card makers specifically and console makers that there are people that will pay these prices. It may not be everyone, but there are people that will pay these prices.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about graphics cards like the I think no.
There's the whole Bitcoin boom too.
Well, no, yeah,
graphics cards
so that didn't help anything either. We were dealing with crypto miners at the same time. It was literally like with graphics cards. I actually don't think that those were mostly going to scalpers. I think those were mostly going to crypto miners.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the crypto crash, and then they couldn't get rid of them fast enough. Ha ha ha! Fuck off. Same thing happened. Same thing happened with scalpers. I heard about people trying to like return PS5s when there was finally enough to satiate demand, and then it's a free market. You can do what you want as far as scalping goes, but if you get stuck with the bag in your hand and you can't do anything with it, go fuck yourself. As far as I'm concerned. But that's where I think the disk drive. I think it's just scalpers that are buying them.
Could very well be. I think it's a bit of both.
I'm sure it's a bit of both. Yeah, I'm sure that there's people that have been saving up their money and they're like, oh well, because there was a lot of talk that this was going to be $600. I was one of the outliers that was like, I don't think this is going to be $600. I was like, well, if all the rumors are true with this tech, like why would? So when the rumors about new AMD ray tracing, like at first I didn't believe them. But then it hit me that, like, you know, as we hear more, I was like, well, this is probably true. But if this is new, why wouldn't they charge something astronomical? Why wouldn't they do $700?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do $800? And they effectively made an $800 console if you want a disk drive version.
Well, they're setting the price of that because they can. I don't think they're even looking at what they're putting in it. Microsoft is doing dick all to sell their console. They're not doing a damn thing. They have no competition in the premium console space right now.
Nope.
Microsoft? You mean Sony?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, Sony has no competition in that.
Yeah, you said Microsoft.
Oh, did I flip them over? No, I'm saying Microsoft isn't. They're not pushing their console at all.
Okay,
and they're right. Like, what should they do right now? They should lower the price of the Series X by $100, and not have this digital one come out at $500, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I will say, all the Sony fans that are like, why would you buy that for $600, the 2 terabyte version, when you can just get the Pro for $700? That is a fair point.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Microsoft is like,
that's a very fair point. I will say, like, Microsoft is sort of shooting themselves in the
they do that all the time.
Yeah, they did it. They did it this week.
They did.
I saw you. I saw your comment. I had it worded a little bit different. I was like, you know, Microsoft or Sony could drive by and hit your fucking cat. And kill it.
Cat.
And, yeah. And Microsoft would be there to steal the corpse and piss on you afterwards.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, they are so great at.
They just deflect it. It's like they want to help Sony out. They're like, oh, negative shit happening to Sony. Oh, hold my beer. We'll fix this.
To be fair with Microsoft, all they had to do, so the end of the quarter, I believe, is the end of this month. All they had to do was put the layoffs off like another week.
Yeah.
And let the PS5 Pro sting simmer a little bit, and then obviously they were going to do the layoffs regardless. Just like give it time to breathe, give it a week or something, instead of immediately, you know, driving up and stealing the dead cat and driving off. I just
they either don't care or B, they're just not even thinking about that. Like, they probably are just like, oh, this is, you know, we've got way more on our minds than public perception of us during layoffs.
Not true because after the layoffs, the word was that they told all the Xbox accounts to go radio silent for at least 24 hours because after the round of layoffs last time, they had that marketing, that feel the burn controller, like the next day.
Oh, I do remember that.
And everyone shit on them for it. So the rumor was that at least the Xbox social media accounts were told to go dead silent for
a period of time.
Whatever time it was.
I just don't think they care about their console enough. And like, the only time, and that's bad for all of us, because the only time Sony has ever been reactionary to prices is when the 360 was like grossly outselling the PS5 when it first launched, and before the PS4 generation, Sony didn't know the price of the PS4 till literally they were waiting to see what Microsoft did. When Microsoft charged $499, and they were like, "Fuck yeah, we can afford to do this at $399." That direct competition of consoles is what kept Sony in check. With an unchecked Sony is dangerous. They're the Apple of the gaming industry right now. They
Well, and-
know they can charge that.
Preach.
I think there's an internal fight going on at Microsoft. I think you've got Phil Spencer that's trying to keep the Xbox alive, and I think you've got Satya Nadella that doesn't care.
No, he just
And
wants
it's
money.
just like what will make us the most money right now, and I think it's going to be a detriment to the Xbox brand in the long run.
absolutely.
I think it's
Yep.
we're seeing it. Obviously, Xbox's branding and their messaging has always been really weird and wishy-washy. But in the ever since the Activision Blizzard deal closed, it has been more fucked up than it's ever been. So.
Yep.
But that's a conversation. I'm
that's
getting
a
totally different thing,
conversation for another day. I'm gonna comment on.
So I was just gonna say one thing.
Yeah.
Oh well, you go first.
Well, I'm going to comment on something Jeff said, and then I'm going to toss it to you to get all of your thoughts and opinions. But no, I was just going to comment on Jeff talking about like the price thing. Man, I think about the PS5 Xbox Series XS launch all the time when it's like there was that whole summer. Do you guys remember that hellish summer where every fucking day on every podcast, I wonder when they're going to drop the prices. I heard this rumor that they're going to drop the prices tomorrow. We're going to get a reveal tomorrow. I heard a rumor about this, that, and the other thing. And it's like people wouldn't shut the fuck up about it and just wait. Just wait. Like, it's going to happen when it happens. And, like, they really waited till the last second. And I remember talking to people who had nothing, like, they didn't have any knowledge around the video game industry and just mind blown by, like, why wouldn't you want pre-orders open as soon as you want? Like, it just doesn't make sense to anybody outside of the video game industry as to why don't you go ahead and tell people the price as soon as possible so you can get a better tally on how many people are going to want this thing. That's the whole freaking point of pre-orders, let alone the fact that they waited. They all dropped November. They put out the prices in like September. I'm wanting to say they like revealed the consoles in August. They were still too chicken shit to drop the prices until like September, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna give it a week or two before we drop pre-orders. And again, the reason I bring this up is because of what you just said, Jeff. It's like they were waiting until the price drop, and I'm left thinking here like, okay, well, what's Xbox's response going to be to all this? And I can't. I'll talk about that here in a second. But like, what's Xbox's response going to be to all this stuff? Because I'm sure they're just waiting.
700 people.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure they're just waiting until like what's their response as far as pricing goes on their next console.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but we'll definitely talk more on that. But Fraser, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all this?
Well, I've just been listening to what you guys have had to say, and it's very, very interesting. I don't have anything more to add, but I was just looking at some fun little facts and things, and I thought we haven't done a Fraser's Question Corner in fucking ages, right?
Yeah.
It's been a couple of weeks. So, quick fire questions. I got 4 of them, and they're all PlayStation related.
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation 1. What was the greatest PlayStation 1... What's the greatest selling PlayStation 1 game?
Oh man, PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
I would guess Final Fantasy 7, but that's probably wrong.
Wrong.
But
Yeah, I want to say
Spyro?
I don't think it's Metal Gear.
No?
Is it a Microsoft owned property?
No.
No? Okay. I just
I
thought that'd be
Tekken?
funny, but
was gonna
Alright.
say Tekken 3 maybe.
No. So, Gran Turismo at
I was gonna say
10.8 million copies.
10.8 million.
That makes sense. That tracks.
Huh.
All right, same question for PlayStation 2.
Jack and Daxter?
No.
For 2, I was on a different planet than most people with 2. I had a 2, but I was buying like things that weren't really PlayStation properties, so I don't fucking know. Is it a sports
Grand Theft
game?
Auto San Andreas, 17.3 million.
Oh my gosh, yeah, of course.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you gonna ask this about the 3? Because I think I already know.
It's probably just going to
Yep,
be Grand
I
Theft
am.
Auto 5, right?
I believe it is.
Correct, 29.5 million.
Gosh, damn.
And then, final question, PlayStation 4, Greatest selling game.
Grand Theft
Biggest
Auto 5
selling
again.
game.
Yeah,
No?
probably.
Oh, that's funny, right?
Yeah.
um, ooh, that's a good one. God of
Is
War.
it
Oh, it's not Grand Theft Auto 5?
No.
No.
Is it first party or third party?
It's third party for sure.
Probably.
No, I actually think it's first party.
Really?
You think
Hmm?
it's first party?
I hope so.
I'm trying to think.
As
it could
I'm
be
saying-
no, it's not the last.
As
of
I'm
Us.
saying that.
No, could it be The Last of Us Part 2?
Okay, wait. He shut up pretty fast when
No.
he said The Last of Us.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
The
really?
last-
No, I don't think it'll be. Are you sure it's a first party? If it is a first party, it's going to be something weird. Like it's not going to be.
God of War
It
2018.
might be something that was a pack-in game. What was a pack-in?
20 million copies sold.
Give us
Ghost-
a
Marvel
hint.
Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wow, I can't believe
And
I
I
didn't.
don't
think of
have the 5. I didn't bother looking up that. But
I-
that was very interesting. That Grand Theft Auto, man, that's the seller.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto is the seller of a console.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that's been a lot of conversation around the Pro. It's like, okay, well, yeah, like once is Grand Theft Auto 6 going to move pros? Like when they say, "Oh, look at what Grand Theft
No.
Auto 6 looks like," and I don't think it is either.
No.
I think people
'Cause
are just
they're-
going to care about playing it and get the cheapest way possible.
They're gonna get dude. I wouldn't be surprised if Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm not even kidding here. Sells more Xbox Series S's than it does PS5 Pros.
Yeah, I agree with
If
that
it
completely.
runs on it.
I don't know about that. I do think it'll be a system seller. It'll probably move PlayStation 5s and Series X and S.
Oh, for sure, it'll push those
Yeah.
more. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But the Pro, I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. Again, these big open world games tend to be CPU bound, so as far as the 60 FPS mode, I'm not going to shit all over people's hopes, but I am going to say the same thing I said about this ray tracing tech. Don't hedge your bets on that just yet.
And the hopes for GTA 6, that's if it hits next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might not
Yeah.
even come out next year. If it comes out in 2027, and that's when Microsoft's it might not even be the most powerful console by the time GTA 6 comes out.
Yep.
Who knows? And I really don't think the people that are waiting to buy a new console are the players that just play GTA.
Right.
I feel like those people would have, the people that would care about the frames and the resolution would have bought one of these consoles already. I don't think they're going to know the difference between 45% difference between the PS4 Pro or PS5 Pro and the PS5. They're going to notice the price difference, but they're not going to notice the difference in that. They don't care. And the most of the media, like most of the marketing, probably be like it'll be like PS5, play it best on PS5 Pro. I don't know how much water that holds with the casual market, the general gamers out there. I think they're just going to be like, oh, PS5, cool. Because I mean, GTA 5, you said it wasn't the number one for PS4 and Xbox One.
No, it wasn't.
Because they all bought it on the previous generation, but the best place to play that game is on the generation that came after, and it was shortly after too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a couple years.
A couple of years?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember it being a long...
You mean the release of Grand Theft Auto 5 on the next platform?
Yeah, I remember it being a while.
I think it was pretty quick.
Hold on, let me see. Grand Theft GTA 5 release.
All right, so what game or games do you think people are going to be buying the Pro for? Because
I don't think they're going to buy it for it. I don't think it's a game that they're going to buy it for.
Yeah. It's
Sorry,
like
2014. Okay, so I guess it was 1 year. It was 1 year. My bad, guys. I guess it was just something.
Yeah, and we knew like that wasn't like a big surprise. Like I mean, people probably assumed, or people assumed it would be backwards compatible, but I think people are just going to go and buy. I think it would be crazy if someone did buy a Series S for Grand Theft Auto 6, but I would not be surprised just because of the price and people who just want to play that game because it's not going to be on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One if it moves more S's just because of the price alone. I'm not saying it's going to be a lot more or like a majority of consoles are going to move to that. No, not at all. I think it's going to move PS5, it's going to move Xbox Series X's. I just don't think it's going to move that many pros. That's all.
It's not going to be as astronomical, and I agree 100% because it's the thing of Grand Theft Auto is larger than life. It is larger than the games industry, like, and by that I just mean that like if
it's
you
its
meet
own
somebody.
entity.
It's its own entity. Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
people who don't talk about video games, people who don't care about video games, they talk about Grand Theft Auto. It makes the news. You talk to any average Joe, they've played Grand Theft Auto, but maybe not even played Call of Duty, but they've at least played Grand Theft Auto or know what it is at least. My grandma, guarantee, knows what Grand Theft Auto is. And to the people who are not making much money, they're going to do, like, if they're just skimming by, you know, they're looking for the cheapest option. Go to a pawn shop, pick up a Series S for less than $200, and that is the cheapest into playing Grand Theft Auto. So yeah, I agree completely. Because I think calling them gamers is being gracious. These are just your average Joes who want to play Grand Theft Auto and
It's
hop
pop
in.
culture. GTA is pop culture, and people who don't really play games play GTA.
Yep.
And it's... Oh shit, what was I gonna fucking say? God damn it.
It's like,
if it was exclusive, it would definitely move them. That's for sure. If it was just for PS4 Pro, that's what'll get. If they were like Fortnite 2's coming out, but it's only coming out on the Pro consoles, that will move consoles. Microsoft could probably do it with Call of Duty to some extent. They would lose a lot of sales, but that would move consoles. It's they have a console seller, like a killer app. I think that's almost gone. It's more like a Death of a Thousand Cuts deal now. It's like you got to like a multiple amount of games and the service. And not PC. Kids don't care about consoles. My nephew's 10. He couldn't give a shit about console. He plays on them, but he doesn't really care. He doesn't.
Kids these days just play wherever the fuck their games are.
Exactly. Yeah.
The console wars are dead after like the generation that are like the four of us. Like once we're dead and buried, like no one.
You're absolutely right.
Probably right.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Fraser?
I was just gonna say, like, we're talking about these games like that are gonna make people buy a Series S and X and that. There can't be that many people left that are still on the previous generation, right? Like
40 million.
Okay, there's a few. But then, like, what?
That's if you're just comparing PS4 sales, though. So that's like a very generalization of people, but it's probably not that high.
So, like, they're playing what? FIFA, Call of Duty, Fortnite,
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. Like those 4 games.
Like GTA 5 is still one of the most played games, isn't it?
Yeah, which is wild. Absolutely wild.
Crazy.
Which is why you saw college football move so many consoles.
Yeah, that did too. That is insane. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, like, already people are not buying. You know, if you say there's 40 million people that are on previous consoles, and Grand Theft Auto 5 hasn't made them, like, Grand Theft Auto 6, probably will. But if they haven't moved now, obviously there's a reason, and it's probably just it works fine on what I've got.
Yeah, they're not going to start on the most expensive one first. Like, I mean, if they do, good for them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I wish I had that willpower. It's like they somehow have like the least amount of FOMO ever because they can not buy a console for multiple years, but then have the hardest core FOMO ever if they buy a pro console just for GTA 6.
Just for GTA. But yeah, that will be a massive win/loss for whoever if someone got that. But like Rockstar's never done exclusive for anything, have they?
They did. Well, GTA 3 was exclusive to PlayStation 2, and it had like a year or two exclusive for Vice City and San Andreas before it came to Xbox.
Did it really?
GTA 4 was the first one that launched on both of them at the same time.
Okay. I might have still had my PlayStation 2 when San Andreas and that came out, so it probably didn't even. I didn't even know that exclusivity was even a thing back then.
Yeah.
Like, if I have a PlayStation and that game's on PlayStation, great. if it's
You know,
not,
they haven't done that.
Oh,
yet,
well.
and since then, no. Yeah, exactly.
so I honestly don't see it going to one or the other.
Yeah.
No. It's going to be whatever people get their hands on, what they feel like. And it's going to be the marketing. I bet you they are fighting for the marketing.
I think I might have lost everybody.
Like, we're not going to do anything GTA at TGS, but whoever said that the pre-orders go up the same time as TGS, I mean, you're onto something because they announced the price. They knew everyone was going to be fucking pissed. TGS comes along, Bloodborne remake, boom, that negativity is right out the window.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is a stretch. I'm not predicting that, but that would totally get rid of the negativity, or some type of game that they announced there
Jesus
would
Christ.
make it go away.
I know we've been talking for ages, but we haven't seen anything new from a console for such a long time, right? It's just all we're doing is getting better graphics,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
better fucking ray tracing, better. Remember when one of these companies would come out with something exciting that was like, what the fuck? What is this?
But Labo didn't do it for you? Nintendo Labo? You
no.
remember that?
No, they did not.
Didn't do it for me either.
PlayStation with the wireless controller. That was fucking insane.
Oh, the 3? That one with the Batarang type thing?
Yeah.
That never came out? Yeah.
Yeah. But then, they used to do exciting things. Like the Kinect. And sure, it didn't take off like it did. But fuck, it had some cool stuff that you could do with it.
Okay. To add to your questions, what's the best 360 game selling game ever?
Well, it has to be Kinect Adventures.
It is.
That came with every single fucking console.
they sold. Well, no, it came with every Kinect.
Ah.
Like the original Kinect sold a shitload. Like it sold a lot.
Yeah.
Not Kinect Adventures. It's whatever Kinect that came with the 360 one is the one that's the highest selling one. Yeah. It's a high selling the highest selling PlayStation. I'm getting all these things mixed up. 360 game ever. And I think that's why Microsoft was all in on the next Kinect, because they were like, oh my god, this sold so well. But it sold so well and people stopped playing it after they tried the Kinect. It was like we realized this is trash.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't, nothing else sold after that, and they just went all in on it, which is dumb.
I just wanted to play
But it
the
also
tech
shows you
demo.
the casual market. Sorry, what were you saying, Nate?
I said I just wanted to play the tech demo. Never got to play it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but the casual market and the general market, they don't care. There's probably people out there that really love the Kinect when they first played it. It's it was the Wii Fat thing that happened, and it caught on. And I just think people overestimate that part of the market. I think, in terms of what they care about and what they read into.
Absolutely.
And then
They don't care about this.
Absolutely.
They brought in little things into bigger games. Remember Skyrim? You could scream at the thing. Mass Effect 3 had Kinect compatibility.
They had a purple line on them. Yeah, on the boxes.
And you could tell your squad mates to go over there and stuff. That is so cool. That was
actually the voice stuff was kind of cool.
Yep.
I had control on the Xbox One with voice. That was fun.
Yeah, but then they're just nah, we hate this.
Yep.
Fucking shut it down.
Dead Rising 3
Well,
being
'cause it
able
came
to
to
call
Christ.
over the zombies and they fall off the cliff is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It did some cool shit, man. It's just it was $100 cool shit that people
exactly.
didn't want to pay for. We lost power because of that. We lost quality of games in terms of graphics and all that kind of stuff because of the Kinect.
How much time, resources have
Series
gone
S.
into stuff like that rather than just simply progressing regular tech that
Exactly.
people actually care about. Making 8K cheaper and more affordable and actually implementing 8K rather than focusing so much on VR. But I don't know. I'm kind of talking about my ass on that one. So we are at 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to
4K down before they even think about 8K.
I agree with that. I agree completely. So we're at like 2 hours, 20 minutes. If you guys need to bounce off, I totally understand. I want to kind of give my opinion, and I think also, but yeah, if you guys need to get off, I totally understand. Don't feel obligated to stick around to hear me ramble.
No, I'll stick around for your rant, and I'll probably jump off after that.
Okay. Yeah. We'll wrap up with this. I think this is a great segue into 13 Carry's question. 13 Carry wrote in a couple weeks back asking about this exact topic of what can the industry do to better, like, can you hear me?
I think so.
Yeah.
Have you lost me?
Now we can. Yep.
Okay.
No, we can hear you.
Yeah, you guys have been a little staticky on the receiving end here for a little bit, so maybe it's my internet that I'm having issues with. But, you know, what can the industry be doing that is too scared to try out new things? Or what can they be doing to implement things? Did I word his question right? Because you guys read it too. Like,
yeah, I think that's the gist of it, yeah.
Okay. So
basically used to in that older back in the day in like the generations, like developers and publishers were more risk positive than risk adverse.
Right.
And it seems like that's not the case anymore.
And I think, you know, the reason that question is perfect for this week is we've been talking about PlayStation. We've been talking about their ventures with the PlayStation Vita, with the PSP. We're talking about Kinect. We're talking about PSVR 2. We're talking about and all of those things. Look at where they're at now. I think that kind of sums up your question. It's money talks, and when
He's
people
thinking really hard.
don't show. Oh no, I'm gonna keep going, guys, just since I'm recording or whatever. But you know, money talks at the end of the day, and I think when people vote with their wallets, that's when they say this is a worthwhile venture. So they haven't.
I totally agree.
Oh no. Oh, great. I'm sorry, guys. So yeah, I think that's really kind of what it is when it comes to why they're so scared to jump out on their own. That's why I praise this thing so much. Audio listeners, I'm holding up a DualSense controller again because I won't shut the fuck up about them. You know, it's like that was a great.
I really hope though,
advance.
Go back and play some other games because I really hope that Space Marine is as good as you say it is. Because there's been like 3 games I think that have used really good use of that thing, and I guess Space Marine's got to be another one on that list. Cause... Because I personally really enjoy it. Like I said, I was a big fan of how it felt to throw the Leviathan axe in God of War, and I was telling my friends about how good that felt. So I'm like, I would definitely put Space Marine in that category with God of War. I wouldn't put it on Astro Bot level for sure. I don't think anything can compare to Astro Bot. But yeah, so. To kind of sum up my thoughts, I'm going to try and do this quickly. But as far as the PlayStation 5 Pro goes, Russell had made a point earlier that I wanted to comment on. I think it was the PC comparison, right? I want to talk about the PC comparison, and then I want to talk about... Yeah, I'll go with my... Sorry, I got so many thoughts in my mind cooking at once. I'm trying to figure out which one should come out of the oven first. But yeah, so I would say the PC comparison, because there is the big conversation surrounding, well, should I just get a PC? And, well, you know, PS5 Pro can't compare. I feel like we've been through this conversation before, and it's the fact that we're on this conversation for a second time in the same generation that's helping me come to my own conclusion. Because when we first I've talked about it on this podcast here before, and I'll say it again, when the Xbox Series X and S and the PS5 dropped, I got my tax return back, and I was at a decision. I was at a crossroads. I had $1,400, and I was like, I'm either going to buy both consoles or I'm going to buy a PC. Now, I felt pretty good about my decision to get PS5 and Xbox Series X. However, it's been gradually changing through each passing year. I mean, you can even look back at some of my old tweets where I talked about whenever Forspoken came out. I was like, you know, I'm really glad that I went with the Xbox Series X. So you can see me talk about that decision over and over again. But every year that goes on, I'm like, you know what? Like, I think I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to switch over to PC. Now,
a console gamer is always going to be a console gamer. You know, I've got kids. There's a lot of us that have kids, or our lifestyle. We were talking about Once Human. I was supposed to review that game, and we were talking about this after we were done recording last week, where it's like, I have to come over here to my desk and dedicate myself to sitting at my desk and playing an online game where I cannot pause. I'm interrupted by kids. I had to get up in the middle of our podcast last week because my son had stripped down naked in front of the door. That was like, you know, you could see through the window or whatever. He stripped down naked, started pissing all over the living room floor. I'm like, hey guys, I gotta go real quick. So it's like those interruptions are happening all through my life. For me to take out 2 hours of my life for this podcast is like, you know, it's crazy. I mean, this is more than the video game time I've had in this week. So, you know, with that being said, sitting down at my PC is hard. Being able to sit down on the couch for 15 minutes here and there really adds up at the end of the week. You're talking about 3-4 hours. So that's why I've always been a console gamer. I would bet that a lot of console gamers would say the same thing. That's probably why they're console gamers too. And it is the entry point. It is the optimization. The thing that I have always, you know, grabbed the flag and been on the front lines for has been the fact I'm like, yeah, well, at least even with this little rinky-dink console right here that cost me, you know, after some trade-in and stuff, this little doohickey right here cost me $50 to upgrade from the Xbox One. And with that being said, it's like I can go over to my living room TV, press one button, and within less than 30 seconds be right in Space Marine 2 like that. I would have to spend over $1,000 on a PC to be that quickly into a game, controller in hand, all like it's popping up on my... You would have to use Steam Big Picture Mode, right? That is such an underrated Steam thing. Like, I don't think most people like to use it because most people are playing on their monitors. So I don't think most people use the Big Picture Mode, but it is great for people who want to play PC on their big television. That's whenever I go to play PC on the big TV, I go to Big Picture Mode, then I hook up the HDMI cord, so that way it's a little more console friendly, I guess. So that's kind of been my big thing of what's kept me in the console game. So that's what is so depressing about all this. I am not going to sit here and try to convince anybody that $700 is more than $1,500. I'm not going to try to convince you of that because that's stupid. I can't. It's the thing of investing your money. If I would have invested my money way back then and made the other choice to get a PC, I would probably own a Steam Deck by now. I would be able to play all the games that I've already played. Granted, I still would want a PlayStation just because I need to play those games day one. I'm so glad I'm playing Astro Bot right now. I need that. So I think I'm always going to have a console in my house. Don't get me wrong. I will more than likely always have a console in my house. But it's for that accessibility, right? But like the PC, however, it's like, all right, $700 that I could be putting towards an investment that, like you said earlier, Jeff, Russel's good for a long time now. He's already ahead of the thing. Somebody was talking about how revolutionary the SSD hard drives were for this current generation. SSDs have been around for a long time, guys. A long time. PC gamers knew that way beforehand. PC gamers were talking about frame rates and how much they matter in the Xbox 360 era. And look at where they're at now. So my point isn't that financially you're better off. Like, no, if you got $700 and that's what you can afford and you're cool with just having that game station, great. But I think I personally am at a place in my life where I'm looking to get a Steam Deck for that accessibility that I was talking about. You can get a dock. Treat that as my new console, right? Let that be the thing that I put up on the living room TV and play those games on. Because when I'm thinking about Assassin's Creed, I'm like, man, how am I going to find the time? How am I going to find the time for Dragon Age? How am I going to find the time for these games? I'm like, if I had a Steam Deck and I was able to carry that around with me around the house. The kids are watching cartoons. Megan's using the computer to do her school, and there's nowhere for me to game. I've always got the Steam Deck. So that I've really been wanting to invest my money into that. So that's my argument with the PC side of things. That also kind of double tackles the point that Russell was making of where is the console industry going, which is kind of my most depressing thing about this whole conversation. Is Russell is absolutely correct. We should be fucking getting used to it, like it or not. You know, the $700. He's right. The PS5 Pro or PS4 Pro dropped at $500, and then all the new consoles dropped at $500. And I absolutely do believe that the Xbox is going to do one of two things. They're either going to announce that their console is better for the same price, or they're going to try to like undersell it and sell it at $600. But I don't think they care about consoles. I think that's not the way I think Microsoft operates. I think PlayStation is taking the linear path. They always have. They've always taken the safe bet, while, you know, except for this live service, with the exception of the live service conversation, right? Because they've always been like, hey, let's stick to our single-player narrative-driven games. Let's stick to the PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, while Xbox is over here. Xbox, what random word can we put after that? What random letter can we put after that? So, like, they're just over there thinking very differently. There's clearly a difference in thinking in between the two companies, right? So, I think with PlayStation, they're continuing to go up this hill of PlayStation 5 Pro. Next, we're going to see PS6. PS6 will have better graphics, better yada, yada, yada. I absolutely believe that Xbox is going to say, you guys keep climbing up the hill. We're going to walk around it. And we'll see how that works out for them. Maybe it doesn't work out. I don't know. Because, again, they just keep fucking shooting themselves in the foot. And it's getting really exhausting as somebody who's been a passionate Xbox person since the original Xbox. That's been my go-to console.
Well, it's going to work out for them. They're going to make a shitload of money. It's just us.
Yeah.
It's not working out for us.
Yeah.
Because they don't care about the console anymore. But yeah, totally.
And that's my thing, is I start to care a lot less about my product when I feel like the person putting their investment into it doesn't care. PSVR 2, I really was interested. I really wanted it. I've been dying to get into some Resident Evil VR. Dying for it. And Horizon, there is nothing that could be a better seller for me. Like, the PSVR 2 was directed towards me, all right? But I didn't see the investment. I fucking knew the moment it was announced that PlayStation doesn't give a crap about this. I don't even know why they care. I don't even know why they're continuing to push it at all, because they barely are pushing forth the effort or showing effort that they care about the PSVR 2. So I never invested, and look at where we are now. You know, they stopped production really quickly. You know, they saw those pre-order numbers and they're like, hey, let's slow down the production here. And now they're doing things that they said they weren't going to do. They added the port. The PC port, so now you can play your PSVR 2 on PC.
Oh,
so,
well, they put out an adapter just to get rid of the units that are in the channel. I'd be surprised if they're still manufacturing this.
Exactly. They're just trying to get rid of them at this point. So it's like, when I start to feel like Xbox is moving on from consoles, I am going to go ahead and start moving on myself personally. I understand why people wouldn't. I don't want to. That's not what I want, because, again, accessibility. My whole entire ecosystem is invested into the Xbox. I'm always going to own my Xboxes because of how much money I've put into their ecosystem. So it's never going to go away. And I think people are being overdramatic when it's like, oh, I'm going to sell my Xbox, I'm going to sell my PlayStation, I'm going to switch it. Like, for me, when I say I'm going to switch to PC, I'm talking about a very, very, very slow and drawn-out transition.
You're not going to dump everything and be like, fuck everything else.
Yeah. Exactly. And honestly, it starts with Space Marine 2 for me. You know, that it's like, I know I'm going to be owning this PlayStation. I know I'm going to be staying in PlayStation at least at the minimum. So I'm going to, continue doing that. And then, just instead of saving up and trying to do all this trade in for the PS5 Pro, I'll save up for a PC because, again, like Russell said, it does more than just play games. And for people like me who are...
it's a PC is 100% a better general investment.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. So it's like, if you're just doing gaming, again, it just goes back to that thing.
It's
spend
personal
your money
preference
the way
at that point.
It is
it's
personal preference. Exactly.
But what does that tell you when you have one console maker doesn't feel like they give a shit about the console base, and the other one is outpricing their own customers out of their new console?
Yep.
They're putting us in a position to jump ship.
Yep.
And no one's gonna blame you for doing that.
Yep.
Or they shouldn't blame anyone for doing that.
I agree.
Customers gotta do what's best for them, right? Like the people that sit there and be like, "Oh, you're not supporting, the devs or the platform holders." No, you're a bad consumer if that's what you care about, is giving the sale to the corporations. You should be thinking about yourself, number one, and that's what you're doing. And that's what they're doing this to themselves.
Yep.
They're making their own market. Be like, well, fuck it. That's not good for me, so I'm gonna go elsewhere, and I'm gonna go to the most free place there is, and that's PC.
Exactly.
For me, it's a lot of it has to do actually with what my friends are doing. So up until recently, with like cross-platform being a thing, like all my friends, like we all had PlayStations back in the day. So like, my small hometown, everyone had a PlayStation. We'd swap games, you go over to mates' places, you play together, blah, blah, blah. 360 came out with the online, and for whatever reason, all my friends moved to 360. So I did.
Yep.
And then up until recently, like meeting you guys, getting on board with the Gamer Social Club, I'm actually starting to meet people that do play on PlayStation and PC, and my friend group is expanding past what I just had. So the idea of me switching from, say, Xbox to PlayStation is terrifying because I got no friends on PlayStation. Everyone plays on... All my friends are on Xbox.
Yeah.
Even if it's the console's not as good or whatever, that's where all my friends are. And yeah, sure, the cross-platform thing is a thing.
It's not guaranteed, though.
Yeah, and it's still not as easy as everyone being on the same place, on the same platform. Like Jeff, you were saying like how you had to connect like with your mate through a code.
Yeah, you have to generate a code and give them the code, and they got to enter the code, and that's how they usually work these days.
And so, like when Steve and I were playing Space Marine, I was just like, "Invite, done, let's go."
Yep.
And it's just so easy.
And your digital library, that sucks too. Like the people that sell everything, you're literally saying bye to anything you bought digitally or physically on your console.
Unless you're on Xbox, there are Play Anywhere titles.
The Play Anywhere. Yeah, I didn't think about that. So that is a plus for that side of it for sure.
But not everything is Play Anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, like all the digital stuff that I've bought, like.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm just going to throw it away.
And it's a harder pill to swallow.
It is. And that played a role in buying Space Marine 2 for me, because I did think about the fact that we were going to play together, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll have to... The only reason that didn't play too much of a role for me, and we'd have to go through the hoops of Discord, but I'm like, if me and Fraser stream Space Marine 2, then we are going to have to use Discord anyways so that we can actually record the voice chat. So that was another reason why I didn't play too much of a role, but also the fact that I couldn't find one also was the biggest reason. So to wrap it up, I definitely have more thoughts, and I'm sure we'll dissect it more, but over 2.5 hours is running even long for us. But my last thought I'll say is I've given you all a good rundown on why I'm thinking of leaving the console space and moving over to PC, right? So let me just tell you what I want out of Xbox. If Xbox wants me to continue being one of their consumers, in order to keep me, I think they're going to have to... If it's going to be... All right, ideally, ideally, let's just say we live in a perfect world, all right? $600, 2025, fall of 2025 or fall of 2026, we get a handheld console similar to the Steam Deck or the Switch, and it is as powerful as a Series X. I don't care if it's more powerful. Let it be a Series X. Let it be a Series S for all I care. I'm not even kidding. Like, if it's a Series S powered handheld that connects to my TV, that accessible at all times, and I'm investing that $600 into accessibility, flawlessness, right, of smooth transition from playing from handheld to TV, knowing that when I spend $60 on a game, it's going to work flawlessly. You know what I mean? Like, no, not every console game is flawless, but it's definitely better optimized than most PCs, right? So yeah, I'd say that in a perfect world, if they could drop that for $500 to $600, which is I think what they're going to aim to do, then yeah, they've won me over. Like, I'll stick around for Xbox in that scenario. If they stick on the strict console route and they try to continue down this linear path of, you know, console wars, so to speak, right? You know, trying to outperform PlayStation, then you've got to either do one of two things. A, price match them, $700, but we are clearly the superior console. Clearly, not just, oh, we've got 10 more frames. Like, no, I can.
Yeah, not zooming in.
Yes.
With a magnifying glass.
Right. My dream console since the 360 has always been, hey, let me buy a skeleton and then sell me the parts. Basically, you know, sell me a PC, basically, is what I'm saying. You know, only better optimized, and I'm swapping out the GPU. For Christmas, I got a better graphics card for my Xbox, right? You know, something that looks like these storage cards, but it upgrades your
at that point, it's
RAM.
a PC.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, basically do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, with limitations,
more user-friendly
right?
than a PC.
More user-friendly, more accessible, and, you know, price match, or give it, or if you are going to make it more expensive, again, give me a clear reason why I should be giving you almost $1,000, you know, for a console. And I shouldn't just be investing $1,000 towards an investment like a PC. And I think that's really the clear, you know, indication on the two. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think that if you are going to try to just continue doing this literal definition of insanity of trying to just one up each other, I got the better console, no I do, I'm going to try and undersell you, no I'm going to try and undersell you, because the depressing thing that I see coming in the future, if it stays that route, is, let's say next year Xbox is like, all right, we're going to try and put out our answer to the PS5 Pro, or we're going to try and drop the next generation quicker than PlayStation. Then it's just, that's the new back and forth, guys. That's the new back and forth of like, all right, I got my Xbox, it's better than the PS5 Pro, and then a year or two later, you're going to feel like you need to buy the PS6 because the PS6 is better than the Xbox. And it's just, and then it's never going to be the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Either is basically the same thing, you know, and it is going to be, each person basically corners their own market. If that makes sense, maybe I badly explained that, but in my mind, it makes more sense.
No, I think I get what you're saying.
I
think what you're afraid of is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially with Microsoft putting all their shit on everything now, and Sony, people might not want to hear it, but eventually they're going to get there too. Because also going back to Carrie's question, it comes down to money and investors. These companies need to make as much money as possible, and when they see the competition making a shitload of money, well, it's okay, we sold more consoles, doesn't justify it anymore. Investors can be like, cool, you have 30 million more consoles sold. Why the fuck is your competition making 16 billion more a year than we are?
Yeah.
Investors are going to jump ship.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to end up, if they keep making consoles, I think they're going to be even closer and closer. And what's going to differentiate them is going to be them trying to one up each other with power. And that with power comes price.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think you are right, and I think that the good idea is to always have that lower tier. Yeah, I think you always have to have that in consoles at some point.
Yep. And I mean,
I don't see myself jumping from
I'm not going to be
like,
jumping from it.
maining Xbox for a while. See, like, I know I've spoken about this before, but I use cloud gaming an hour and a half
you do it
to
every
2
day.
hours a day.
yeah.
That alone pays for anything.
Right.
Sure, I'm stuck to the games that are on Game Pass, but that'll change.
Yeah.
That, like, eventually I'll be able to play anything. Anything that I own, I'll be able to play on cloud, which, you know, some people like, some people don't. To be honest, I don't care what you like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is
what you want.
This is what I like.
Yeah.
And sure, like you said, like, I've got so much money dumped into my Xbox game catalog. All my friends are there. I'm happy with it. There's no way I'm going to be changing mid-gen. No way.
No.
Yeah.
Not on anything. Even if the Xbox decide, like, you know what, we're shutting our fucking doors. We're done with everything. I'm not going to go out and buy a PlayStation yet.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
When you're ready.
Yeah.
Or Nathan said, like, at best, get a good case scenario. Maybe it doesn't come down to just price. It comes down to stuff that you want, features. That could be a thing. Then people look at the features each console has, not about the power. Because the games, I honestly believe the games thing is going to go outside of Nintendo. Exclusive games are pretty much going to go away for the most part, besides like the outliers. And yeah, features will end up being what drives people to pick if they all stay in the business.
Yeah.
Who's this little sweetheart?
That's.
Oh, this little thing. Oh, can you see her?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's Kaizo.
Cheeto.
She like.
It's way past her feeding time.
Wasn't planning on sitting here for 3 hours.
Yeah, she's been on this side like almost the last hour. She's been sitting here. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to this side, man.
Yeah, I saw a little tail go past, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
She's named after. You guys ever play Heavenly Sword? On PlayStation 3? She's named after one of the characters from that.
Oh, okay.
Kai. Yeah.
Amazing. Anyway, I'll go get my fluffy boy.
The last thing I'll say,
your cat off.
Just because kind of like what you were saying about features and what I've been talking about. I think now that you say that, I think for me that's been a driving point that's led me to this decision, because this is the first console generation that from day one I've had all of the different systems. And every time a new game comes out, I'm comparing which features I'm going to use the most. And time and time again, I'm just like, whatever's the most accessible is what matters to me. So at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, you know, PC is going to cover all those aspects thanks to Steam Deck. So, you know, and that's me personally. I do not speak for all gamers. I don't even speak for this group. I'm just speaking on my own behalf. But I am
you
done.
should.
So
Nice.
all right, this is Fraser's cat.
Nice. This is Elton.
Oh, look at that.
Nice to meet you,
And
Elton.
he weighs 6.8 kilos.
Oh wow.
He's a big,
chunky boy.
very big boy. I just woke him up, so he's a bit groggy. But like his tail, like when your tail walked past, I was like, oh, look at that tail. This
What is
boy's
that, a
tail.
Yeah.
It's like,
I can't see it. Hold on. How come I can only see? Do you guys see all the cameras on at once? I can only see like.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's
what
a
are you waiting
Discord
for?
thing.
With
Fall
Discord.
asleep. Fall asleep. His
Oh,
tail's like
poor
30
kitty.
centimeters long. And,
Oh wow. Oh, there we go. Now we can see everyone.
and it's all fluffy.
Measurements.
Oh, okay.
There it
You
is.
guys-
Look
Oh,
at that.
so beautiful.
You guys and your
Really?
fur pets.
I know.
Oh shit.
Where's my
Oh, I have a pet, but it's nothing like either
Is
of
that a
those.
reptile?
Izzy? Izzy, come.
Hold on.
My puppy is asleep too.
I guess if we're gonna
You
do
remember-
this, hold on.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
to. We have to.
Izzy, come here.
Yeah.
Hey,
So yeah,
Kaizo, say hi. They can see you. Usually you get cut off on our podcast. They can't see you. See, go look at the camera. Look at the camera. Yeah, we're there.
so sweet. Oh, look at
A
that.
big old German Shepherd.
Look at there he is. Look at
She's
that
a
guy.
big
He's
girl.
a good boy. He's a good girl. She's a good girl. She's a good. Oh, is that a dragon? Bearded dragon?
That is a bearded dragon.
Oh man,
Nice.
Megan's
Those are
really
fun.
wanting to
Nice.
get one.
I would have
I love those.
expected nothing less from you, Russell. I don't know why, but I would have expected nothing less.
What's its name? Does it have a name?
His name is Georgie.
Nice.
Yes.
That's
I love animals with human names. There's
it's the
something
best.
so
Yeah.
something so amazing about it.
Inherently funny, no matter
Yep.
what. It's
Yeah.
hey, here's my like fish Paul. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like Elton's a Mancoon / Serbian forest cat. So he's like 2 years old, and I believe he's gonna get a bit bigger than that.
wow.
Whew.
He's massive. And like you're standing in the kitchen doing something, and he comes and he just puts his weight on you, and you're just like, oh, what the fuck is that?
I heard they get really big. Like they're the biggest like household cats, aren't they? They can get
Yeah,
like huge.
yeah, they can
Really?
get massive. He's not gonna get that big, thank goodness. But also at the same time, I kind of wish he was.
She's so mad at me for waking her up. Russell, did you
Yeah.
have any final thoughts on the PlayStation thing?
I mean,
The last half hour wasn't
The
enough?
last half hour.
I'm not buying it. That
Okay.
wasn't fair.
Okay.
I mean,
I just didn't
but
know
I
if you
just-
had anything to respond to anything I had said.
Yeah, but
that
I
a-
just spent $460 on this thing. So.
So you already
Well,
know
when
he's
I-
on
when
the
I-
same
when I
page as
send-
I am.
Yeah, when I send this fucker into Newegg, they quoted me a price. It's gonna end up being like $250 for my upgrade.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
nice.
Not bad
That's
at all.
fantastic.
Yeah, I pay $460 up front. I send that thing in. Everything checks out, which I know it will, and yeah, they credit my account. I think $220. So
There you go.
my
There
PC looks really weird now.
you go.
There's more power, but the graphics card just got smaller. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, guys.
Love it.
Thank you for sticking around with us for almost 3 hours. Jeff, thank
Oh my
you
goodness.
for sticking around. Y'all are awesome. I had
Oh, thanks for having me.
such a great time with you guys. I was just looking forward to this episode all week, guys. And I had a great time.
Yeah. It's been a good chat, definitely.
And then, Jeff, do you want to plug in your podcast?
Yeah, if you want to hear more of my takes and you want to, well, this was a good introduction to Jeff's bitchin' boat, which is full again from this show.
Yeah,
That's
love it.
a new thing. So yeah, come on over. It's interactive distractions on YouTube and on the Spotify's and all that kind of stuff. Or you can hit me up on Twitter at IndusJeff, and it's GEOFF.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And join the
Just to be-
GSC Discord. It's a good time.
Yes. Invites to the Discord are in the description, and also, yeah, I will link your guys' channel in the description as well. So hopefully we can get you a couple of subscribers.
Definitely check out Interactive Distractions. It's a funny laugh.
Such
you.
a great podcast.
Loads of fun.
I love it. I really do stay caught up with it every week. It's great. It's a great time.
Oh, appreciate that. That's awesome.
But
I'll tell the other guys.
oh yeah, please do. I freaking what's the shoot? I'm really bad with names. Starts with T.
Travis.
Travis. Yes, thank you. Yeah, making Travis a better gamer career.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
One
hopeless.
podcast at a time, right?
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying listening to him talk about Liza P. Because oh man, you can't talk about that game enough. That game's so good.
So great.
Okay, but I'm going to shut up now. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao.